blocking the driveway. So I got into this car, moving forward.
You don't ever want to open my car door and drag me out of it. You said you did not push her down.
I was attacked.
Are you kidding me? Just watch the whole thing.
That's wrong to do? Oh, come on.
I don't believe that story's gonna fly. Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by camera 6.
If it's happening now, we're gonna deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is gonna be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A and roll A. Track it.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Thank you very much. Okay, you've all heard that phrase, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Well, today my guests say they were forced to take matters into their own hands, all in the name of justice. Now, my first guest, Dr. William Moody, says his constitutional rights were violated when he was physically and verbally attacked while arguing with a man about moving his car. But the dentist wasn't on his best behavior either. A local TV crew was nearby and caught some of this on tape. Take a look.
I pulled up. I saw that the driveway was blocked. This is the driveway, which was blocked at the time. The driver of the vehicle blocking the driveway did not respond. And I noticed that the car in front of that automobile was moving out. So I said, here's a great time to leave my car and ask the driver to move forward. He expressed that he was not about to do anything but harm me. He had no good intention. He didn't want to talk. He wanted to get physical. While I was speaking, he cursed at me and he used the N-word and he spit at me. There was so much sputum, I thought I was in a shower. At the time, I was really taken aback. I was in shock. So I got into this car moving forward, and he hit me right on my right side of my head. When he hit me, I got out of his car. He hit me once. Once is enough. Jeepers. And as I turned to remove my jacket, that's when I noticed the cameraman. So I turned and continued in that direction to block the view. As I was embarrassed, I didn't know how to respond.
Don't touch him, sir. Don't touch the camera. Do not touch the camera. You're assaulting him. Officer, some help. He's assaulting my photographer.
Well, when the camera folks, the camera crew, said to me, leave the camera alone. Okay, fine. It's your camera.
You're assaulting him.
Then Yolanda appeared and just sprung at me like a leopard. She came racing at me. I mean, she was intent on doing bodily harm. She had bad intention at that time, and she showed it. And that's when I put my hand up to block her. She went down, as she ran into my hand, and I'm going up like this. She tripped over herself, she fell. And all of a sudden, I felt another blow to the side of my jaw.
My sister! He's my sister!
Somebody grabs me from behind. After that, I'm in handcuffs. I was put in some kind of a neck hold and cuffed and taken away by the police. After I was attacked, physically and verbally, I felt like my constitutional rights were just stripped and buried at that time. I felt like I'm in a foreign country. I felt like I was not in the United States of America.
Well, wow. That's a pretty busy, intense situation.
Certainly.
Why were you so upset?
Well,
I mean, because you say that they were offensive to you with their words and deeds, but you were the one that got out of your car.
I got out of my car to point out to him, now you can move. You see the car is moving. And I turned towards him to explain that to him again. At that time, things went awry. I was attacked. That film did not show everything.
Okay,
That film did not show that the fervor, the intent, the bad intention that she had. The film did not show, the films did not show that she was held back by two men on that third incident.
Listen, I have no interest whatsoever in stacking this deck with editing or whatever. So I do have the raw footage, all of it. I have all the raw footage from this camera, so let's just take a look at the whole thing. So everything's there, and then we'll talk about it.
Certainly.
In the driveway!
Don't touch him, sir. Don't touch the camera. Do not touch the camera. You're assaulting him. Officer, some help. He's assaulting my photographer.
What are you doing? You can't come here and hit me. She's my sister. Back up. Crazy. Back up. Idiot. Why you gonna push me? Let me see it. Put your hands back. My car's right here.
Okay, that's all the footage there is.
Yes.
That's everything that's there. You're the doctor's attorney.
Yes, I am.
What do you say about this?
Well, first I want to clarify, there was no one that was injured. The footage showed that my client was attacked first. It's indefensible that she would come and push him. You saw that on the film. He responded after being attacked. Had that not been on tape, we don't believe that there would be a current pending charge of an assault 3 misdemeanor, punishable by a year in jail, when there was no physical injury.
But you got out of your car.
Is something wrong with getting out of my car?
Yes,
It's
it's a parking spot. Make the block and come back. I mean, you could have been killed. I was worried about you getting hurt.
Okay.
Seriously.
Dr. Phil, let us clarify that.
I mean, let me finish what I'm saying, though. My concern is there is a problem when you get out of the car. You could have been hurt. You've worked hard all your life. You're a dentist. Your hands are important to you. You get your hand slammed in a car door. You get hit in the head or something. Have you told him in private you don't need to be getting out of your car?
Well, yes, and I think if you proceed further with the line of questioning you're on, you'll see that the doctor certainly has some regrets.
Okay, and I didn't mean to cut you off. We have to take a break, and I'm going to let you say what you started to say when I cut you off. Okay, so we'll be right back, and we're going to talk about whether his constitutional rights were violated, why this situation took place, and what we all need to kind of tear a page out of the book on. We'll be right back.
Countless thousands have watched Dr. Moody push Infante's brother and climb into the brother's car. Moody also got physical with CBS 2 photographer Chris Calarco and had a confrontation with Jolanda Infante. The CBS 2 exclusive video has become an internet sensation.
Well, that was Dr. William Moody, who says he was defending himself when he was attacked after asking a man to move his car. Tell me what you wanted to say right before the break.
That was not an argument over a parking space, number one. They were blocking the driveway so that I couldn't get in to get to work, okay? Number two, when I was pushed several times by Yolanda, after she attacked me, after her brother attacked me, okay, the things that went through my mind, and she said, was I afraid of being hurt? Yes, I was certainly afraid of getting hurt. I was afraid that as that woman was trying to push me into the street, which is an active, very active street with buses and cars and truck racing, just a few feet from there to get through that red light. People have been killed at that intersection over and over again. My only concern was the future of my children, because like you said, was I afraid of being hurt? Yes, I was.
But isn't it true that you could have waited a few minutes? Isn't it true that obviously there were police officers around, isn't it true that you could have flagged one down and said, this guy's illegally parked, I can't get to work, move him? Isn't it true that there were a number of alternatives besides jumping out of your car and going up and jerking a guy out of his car and getting in it and moving it yourself?
I wanted to get to work. I had a job to do, and it was not over a parking space. I wanted them to move forward so I could get to work and continue to make a living for my 3 children. They are my heart and joy.
Well, listen, I spent 15 years working as a litigation consultant, and I don't believe that story's gonna fly.
Did my client have a right to defend himself when that lady ran up and put her hands on him?
Well, let's take a look at that.
If he didn't have a right, then he's guilty.
Okay.
If he did have a right, then that story will fly.
Well, let's take a look at how that happened. Dr. Moody told us that Lewis punched me on the right side of my head. So let's see that clip. This is you walking up the car, so no punches thrown yet. Okay.
Boom. Boom.
Okay, those were the two punches?
Those were 2 punches right there. Uh-huh. Those were 2 punches. I mean, somebody punched you twice, what would you do, sir?
They'd be punching me through the window of my car because I wouldn't get out. But I'm from Texas. Yeah. You're saying there were 2 punches and to the right side of your head. That was to the left side of your head.
Okay, left side of my head.
Okay, well, that's what I mean. I want to help you work this out. You also said that she fell down from her own energy against your right hand.
You can look, if you look at that, you can see how much further she pushed me out in the street the second time. Now, okay?
Okay, let's look at it. We'll see. She clearly pushes you.
Now, that's what I'm saying. That was an assault in any textbook, in any law school, in any court. She put her hands on my client first. Now, the question is, does he have a right to ward off another attack, to expect that another attack may be imminent? Does he have a right to push her away?
Okay. I'm not a lawyer, but I think you're right that she put her hands on him, and that's not right. You said you did not push her down, but let's watch the whole thing and see if she bounces off your right hand. She's pushed you back once. That's your right hand. There's your left hand. Okay. Now, at that point, you clearly pushed her to the ground.
Did he overreact? Did he go over and above the right to defend himself? Okay, that's the question. But if she attacked him first, we have to spend more time on that issue. That's been dismissed from the entire discussion, that she attacked him.
It hasn't been dismissed from the entire discussion because you've brought it up every single time, and I don't blame you for that. She clearly puts her hands on him, but you have to look at this, and just let me ask you a series of questions and just see where it leads us. Look, you seem like a nice guy to me. I'm not trying to demonize or vilify you. I think you're crazy for getting out of your car because you could get hurt. That's a bad idea, and that's a bad idea. Do not get out of your car. This was a traffic situation, and your client started the ball rolling by getting out of his car, did he not?
Yes, he did.
Okay, but
was he wrong to do that?
But for him getting out of the car and having a confrontation with the other driver, would this have happened?
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Phil. Anybody in the audience can answer it too. If someone is blocking your driveway at your home, would you get out of your car and say, excuse me, buddy, move your car? That's wrong to do? Oh, come on.
Let me tell you, I'm as peaceful a guy as you ever want to meet, but you don't ever want to open my car door and drag me out of it.
Now, that's a different matter. That's a different matter. Let's discuss that, but the first point...
But listen, no,
that's
seriously, I think anybody here would say, you open the door, grab a hold of me, it's going to be Molly get the mop, because you're not going to drag
But
me out
that's
of
a
the car.
different matter. Well, Dr. Phil, was it reasonable for him to get out of his car and ask someone to move their vehicle from his driveway?
Yes.
If that was reasonable, good. We got something that we can work with. Now, the next issue you brought up was, should you get in someone's car? And I give you a resounding no. I wouldn't have gotten in someone's car.
All right, so we agree with those
agree
2
with
points.
that.
All right, now Dr. Moody says I was put in some type of neck hold, cuffed, and taken away by the police. Take a look at this. I'm looking for the neck hold. Okay, I just don't think you want to say that, because I think in looking at it technically, clearly we're restrained. It's not material.
Well, you know,
It's not
Dr. Phil,
material. You just don't want to say that.
Dr. Phil, let me say this. This incident took place in all of less than a minute. Less than a minute. For me to recall every single detail after being spit upon, being beat up, hit with a cell phone, ended up with almost a broken jaw, Dr. Phil, I could not remember every incident. Maybe, you know, that's the truth of it. And maybe he was just so close to me in my face, it just felt that way.
For that incident, which I admit, the young lady who fell down, it didn't look good. Him getting in the car did not look good. The fact is, my client was assaulted first by the gentleman who you saw punch into the car. Then she came up and shoved him and pushed him, and he defended himself.
Okay, we got to take a break, but let me just close this argument by saying this. I didn't see him get punched in the car, and I do think you have a right to get out, tap on a window, say, excuse me, you're blocking the driveway, could you scoot up a little bit? But jerking somebody out of their car and getting in to move it themselves kind of negates that right that you claim to go up and ask. And now, I got to take a break, and then I'm going to come back. We're going to hear from the woman in the video who was pushed to the curb. Her side of the story when we come back, and a couple of other questions.
Dr. Moody raised his right hand as to strike me and call me. He used all his power and I hit the concrete. Dr. Moody was out of control.
We've been talking to Dr. William Moody and his very able counsel, who says his constitutional rights were violated when he was attacked while arguing with a man about moving his car. Now, Yolanda was the man's sister who fell to the ground. And she says that Dr. Moody is the one that attacked her. Let's listen.
My brother Luis was waiting for me downstairs because finding a parking spot is very rough in that section. I heard a lot of noise, bad words being spoken. So I looked through the window when I saw Dr. Moody attacking my brother Luis. Dr. Moody was pushing my brother aside. He got into my brother's car to try to move the car. Meanwhile, my brother was telling him, I'm gonna move it, I'm gonna move it. As soon as Dr. Moody get off the car, my brother moved his automobile and gave Dr. Moody enough space to go into the driveway. I spoke to my brother. He never spit on Dr. Moody's face and never called him any bad words. Dr. Moody was out of control. He was so aggressive. He attacked the photographer.
Don't touch the camera. Do not touch the camera.
So at the time that I approached him, he worked towards me very aggressively, and he didn't listen at all of whatever I was telling him. I got the chance to say, Dr. Moody, my father just passed away. Please give us a chance. We're living right now. He's my brother. And he raised his right hand as to strike me and call me. So at that time, I tried to protect myself, and I believe I did something like this to put him apart from me. As soon as I did this, immediately he used all his power and fall me into the floor. And I hit the concrete. He pushed me down. I'm really afraid about Dr. Moody's patient's safety. If he was able to do that in front of the cameras, in front of the county police building, how is he going to react with someone that is in his office as a patient of his? If you see the video, he can explode very easily. So my major concern at this moment are his patients. And I want the system to stop him.
Now, Yolanda declined our offer to appear on the show with Dr. Moody. They work in the same building, but she now has a protective order against him. Now, he's charged with a misdemeanor and aggravated harassment. He's here with his attorney, Gary Jenkins. Now, I'm trying to be as fair in all this as I can, and at the break you said that you thought it was wrong for me to characterize you as jerking him out of his car.
One of the things, Dr. Phil, is that the film did not show, okay? When I sat in my car for 5 or 6 minutes, beeping and beeping and beeping, I did do that. The film did not show that when I approached him initially to explain to him that the car was, and I was down on one knee just about, and I explained to him that he could move his car forward and turn toward him, that's when he spit on me, called me the N-word and a
And what?
It's a Hispanic word, it means a bad word, and he called me those two things and then he spit at me. The camera did not capture that, I guess because of the angulation or when they started the camera rolling or whatever. But I did sit in that car and beep that horn for 5 minutes to get a response.
Were you having a bad day? No, seriously, we all have bad days.
Every day I get up in the morning is a good day.
Well, because on that same day, we've talked to a woman by the name of
Dr. Phil, if I may, we have a current matter before the court, and any allegations that we may address on this show would have a negative impact on our pending case. So my client cannot confirm, admit, or deny any allegation of any other activities.
Okay, well, I won't ask you to. But the report is that there was a prior incident that day, and you can say no comment, but there was a prior incident that day where you followed a woman into a parking garage and blew your horn for 6 flights, and you started yelling at her when she got out, and then secondly, that you had rear-ended another car that day. Do you think you might ought to plead this thing out?
We want to plea it out, but the DA is not giving me an offer that I can take. They're moving forward with trial on a misdemeanor charge, which holds a year in abeyance for my client should he be found guilty when there was no serious injury.
But the truth is, I think you made a series of bad decisions in this incident and perhaps throughout that day. But what I also know from doing my homework, that you have a long history of being a well-respected professional, a contributor to society. I mean, just you couldn't say nicer things about a guy than Dr. Moody. But you know, in life, you got to pick your battles. This ain't one.
We don't want to be one. We agree.
Yolanda says that she might file a civil suit as well, so you may have that to...
Well, where's the damages? She didn't go to the hospital. She wasn't hurt. She may be a bit embarrassed, but in law, you have to have damages to recover in a civil suit.
Okay.
That's all our point is.
All right, that's all, right?
That's it.
Okay, because I wanted you to have a chance to say everything you wanted to say.
I did.
But you, Doctor, I don't hear any mea culpa in your voice about this at all, and I think that is a really dangerous tact. I think it's a really dangerous tact to not say, if I had to do this over again, I wouldn't have done that. And I tell you, there's just a lot of people. My daddy raised me from the time I was in the sandbox that you don't put your hands on a woman. You know? And he reiterated that to me the day after Linda Snyder beat the crap out of me. This was in the 6th grade, and I was a pretty good sized old boy then. But I just, I hope that you recognize you got to own some of the bad decisions here and try to de-escalate this controversy.
In response to all of that, Dr. Phil, for you to say that I have no regrets, I have no onus in this incident, I do. If I had to do all over again, I would have sat there for 3 hours and not gone to work. You don't know what to do. And the excitement occurs, and it probably have been the worst moment that I could have had ever.
Caught on tape.
Caught on tape.
We are out of time. Wait till you see how a 75-year-old woman sought justice against her cable company when we come back.
You just get tired of being a doormat. These Comcast people are submoronic idiots. So I went downstairs, got the hammer, and said to my husband, "Come on, honey, we're going for a ride."
We're talking about vigilante justice, when people are pushed to the edge and feel forced to take matters into their own hands. We've all felt like that, right? We just want to get up on our hind legs and just go get it straight. Well, my next guest, Mona, made national news when she walked into her local cable office. With a hammer. To get their attention.
I think I'm just an average person who was pushed too far. In Bristow, we don't have a choice of cable providers. It has to be Comcast. We wanted to save some money, so we asked for the triple play. Cable, telephone, internet. That's when everything went south. We waited the entire day for Comcast. They never came, they never called. We called and they swore up and down they'd have a man out. He showed up and gave us a lot of gobbledygook about giving us a new telephone number. So after putting a box on our line, we discovered we didn't have a phone. These people are playing God. If I have a heart attack, if my husband falls, we cannot call 911. I said to my husband, let's go on down to Comcast. Maybe we can find a manager. We were asked to wait for 2 hours. Then one of the girls said, oh, I'm sorry, he's left for the day. These Comcast people are submoronic idiots. So I went downstairs, got the hammer, and said to my husband, come on, honey, we're going for a ride.
For a while, I didn't realize what she was going to do until we got there.
I walked past a whole line of people, leaned over the counter, and started whacking their telephone and their computer keyboard. I said, have I got your attention now? When the police officer raced in, he yelled at me, put down that hammer. So I whacked the telephone one more time. I knew I was wrong, but at age 75, they weren't about to hang me. Somebody had to do something to wake them up. You just get tired of being a doormat.
Well, Mona said, if I'm not going to have a phone, then you're not going to have a phone. So, what was your thought process? I mean...
I had to get their attention. That was the only thing. We lived far enough out that if the house caught fire, if I'd had another heart attack, which I've had one before, we'd had to call an ambulance, there was no way we could do it. I had to do something to get a manager, somebody that would say, okay, we'll fix your phone, get you a phone. And so when I went in there and smacked their phone, they told me to go out and sit in the hall again on that same darn bench. And I said, I've been there, done that. No, I'm standing here until I get a manager.
So after you busted up their equipment, they said, would you have a seat in the lobby, please?
Right. Right. Brilliant people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and this is your husband.
That's my husband.
Did you know the plan when she said, let's take a ride, and got a hammer out of your...
Not exactly.
You didn't know she was going to go in there and bust up the house?
You know, I thought she was going to maybe threaten somebody with it, but I didn't think she was going to start backing things
Which
up.
would be okay, right? You were down with that. You just didn't want to bust up the equipment?
Right.
Yeah. How are you at responding when she asks for something?
I've learned 2 words. Yes, dear.
Yeah. I think if I were you, I'd be spring-loaded out of the starter blocks in case she needed something. So you have a little pin on your sweater there.
My husband had that made for me for my 76th birthday.
Uh-huh.
It is a
gold hammer.
Gold hammer.
Michael Shames is the director of Utility Consumers Action Network, which protects consumers from utility abuse. Where are you, Michael?
Right over
You
here.
don't recommend this particular approach.
No. Oh, Mona. You know, the funny thing is, you heard the audience reaction. Almost everyone is either gone through this or has had somebody go through something like this. So you're not alone. But there are people out there who, for a living, protect people like you who've gone through something like that. You have state agencies, local agencies, consumer advocacy groups, all who could have taken your case on, and not only wouldn't have cost you $2,500, I guess is what it cost you, but you could have actually had the company pay you for having gone through the inconvenience that you went through and the indignity you went through.
And Comcast did make a statement that I need to read. It said, "We apologize for any customer service issues that Ms. Shaw experienced, and we are working hard to increase customer satisfaction. We handle more than 300 million customer interactions a year, and our goal is to deliver a positive experience to every customer every time. There are thousands of employees working to reach this goal, and their safety is also of the utmost concern to us. We are making numerous improvements to help them better serve our customers, including giving our technicians new tools
They don't train their
that will help improve on-time reliability, and we are also enhancing our training programs." So you understand, I need to read. You don't seem moved by that statement.
Not a bit. Not an inch.
Tell me what you have here.
Some of the people in our church. And we want to present this to you.
Okay. It says brains and backbone. Brains and backbone, and on the back, have I got your attention now? Roland, thank you so much. Next, did he do the right thing? An average citizen who pulled a drunk driver off the road. We'll talk about that when we come back. Hold on. Get back.
A lot of people said, you could have been killed. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to live my life in fear. I'm going to do what's right.
You're under citizen's arrest, sir. Stay put.
I was a vigilante. I had to take the law into my own hands.
We're talking about vigilante justice. Is it right or wrong to get involved when you think nothing is being done? Now, my next guest, Matt, shot video of himself performing a citizen's arrest after pulling over a man he thought might have been a drunk driver.
You're under citizen's arrest, sir. Stay put.
I was a vigilante. I had to take the law into my own hands. So I'm just driving down the freeway, minding my own business, and then all the traffic starts slowing up. And I'm in a hurry, so I work my way to the front, and I see this car weaving, and there was just a lot of smoke and stuff coming off, and he was driving erratically.
Look at all that smoke up there. Crazy, blown out tires, and they don't want to pull over.
No one was doing anything. They were just, Joe citizens all watching, waiting for something tragic to happen. I figured if someone's gonna act, it's gotta be me. So I just floor it, and I get up next to this guy, and I was like, you need to pull over. He was drunk or passed out. He was in and out of consciousness at the wheel. And then his car just smashes into my car. So I take my car and I start forcing him over to the side. I was scared. I was just saying, you know, Lord Jesus, help me with this. I don't want to get killed here. I'm just trying to do the right thing and pull this guy over before he kills somebody else. That's when a truck in the forward pack of cars started slowing down away from his pack. We boxed him in and just made him pull over.
You can't even drive. You can't steer the car.
And he starts running away from us. He's trying to jump the fence, and I just grabbed him by the back of the collar and just threw him down the hill.
Now stay. We're not being his ass, we're containing him.
I said I would get up.
No, you're not getting up.
A lot of people said, you could have been killed. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to live my life in fear. And it doesn't take extraordinary people to do extraordinary things. It just takes someone stepping up and doing the right thing.
You're a health hazard to everybody.
I don't think he'll ever do that again now. He knows that citizens are roaming around out there ready to slam fools down.
There's no telling how many lives you saved in doing what you're doing. What made you decide to, because you've never done anything like this before, what made you decide to do that?
I had to do it. No one else was going to do it. So I said, you know, if someone's going to do it, it's going to be me. So that's why I did it.
Next, what should you do when you see a drunk driver on the road? We're going to hear what experts have to say. We'll be right back.
I needed to let him know that I'm in control.
Oh, you stay.
You're going down, you know what I mean? This is how I roll. I needed to let him know that I'm in control and I'm physically superior to you, and you're going to bow down to that. You're not getting away from this.
We're not being his ass, we're containing him.
I said I would get up.
No, you're not getting up.
You're going to stay right where you're at. Help me up. No, I will get up. I will get up. Help me up.
You going to stay? Stay?
I was like, this is over, son. You're going down. You're not getting away from me. You know what I mean? This is how I roll.
Now, the question I have, and Sergeant Mark Garrett is with the Los Angeles County Highway Patrol. He says he would never recommend a citizen pull over any car. You want to give a drunk driver plenty of space and call 911. Wouldn't you feel really bad if you had known, you know, I knew this, I saw it unfolding, I saw it happening, and I sat idly by?
Well, you have to remember, too, that could happen even if you do try to effect an arrest. You could actually cause that person to cross the center divider.
Right.
You could actually cause an accident, and then how would a person feel?
Let me get this straight. A citizen's arrest is a legitimate thing recognized by the law where citizens can detain someone for behaving badly, behaving criminally, and wait and detain them until law enforcement gets there, or transport them directly to the nearest law enforcement agency. True?
That's true, that a citizen can make a physical arrest, detain that person until law enforcement arrives.
And when you do it, there is liability because you could be prosecuted for false arrest.
That's correct.
If there's nothing wrong or you've interceded, there is some liability, and you did have risk in this situation.
I did.
I think it's pretty clear this guy was drunk.
Very drunk.
He has been convicted, so it was a good bust.
It turned out okay.
Yeah. All right. We'll be right back. I want to give a big thank you to our affiliate, WCBS-TV, White Plains, New York, for providing the footage of the incident with Dr. Moody so we could talk about it. I don't think there's anybody here who wants to argue with Mona. I want to thank all of my guests today. For more information on how to fight for your rights without breaking the law, log on to drphil.com, and we're going to have it on there for utility commissions and anything else that we can run across. So you know, there are consumer advocate groups out there that speak with a collective voice, and sometimes they can be heard much clearer than just one faceless customer on the other end of the line. Thanks for being here today. So long. This can happen to any child, anywhere, at any time.
A child in danger.
You had no idea that he was going into her bedroom at night.
A mother in denial.
You walk in on your 9-year-old daughter and find your husband.
Now, after 2 decades, the daughter needs answers.
You continued to live with him, with your daughter in the house.
I did not know.
You caught him.
A shocking Dr. Phil.
Even now you're not saying, I'm sorry, how can I ever make it up to you? You're saying you have an attitude. Well, hell yes, she has an attitude.
Behind closed doors.
You don't allow your child to be fed like a sacrificial lamb to some that is abusing her. Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6.
If it's happening now, we're going to deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A, and roll A, check in. Go, Dr. Phil.
If you are a parent, or even if you're not, you know there is no greater pain than seeing your own children hurt. The worst threats in this world come from predators that sexually molest our children. Now, I want to warn you that the twists and turns in today's story are going to shock you. Our first guest, Heidi, was sexually molested by her stepfather, John. Not once, not twice, but for 12 years. Even more shocking, her mother knows it because she walked in on it happening when the child was 9, yet stayed with the molester for years as it continued to happen. Now today you're going to meet the victim, Heidi, the mother, Susan, and even the molester, John. Now watch and listen carefully, because this can happen to any child, anywhere, at any time. Take a look.
My stepfather molested me when I was 5. My mother did not do anything, and I really hated my mom for that.
Heidi has completely turned her back on me. She's completely put me out of her life.
I cannot comprehend, as a mother, allowing somebody to violate your child.
I was a victim too.
I would wake up in the middle of the night and catch him in my room fondling me.
John probably abused her for 12 years.
My mother married my stepfather, John, when I was 4.
When Heidi was 9 years old, I walked in on my ex-husband molesting my daughter.
I was so relieved and thankful when she caught him molesting me.
My ex-husband's reaction was it didn't faze him. There was no remorse, there was no guilt. I stayed with my ex-husband about 6 years after I discovered it. I didn't believe that it would happen again.
He continued to molest me. My mother did not ask me how I was doing. My mother did not hug me. She went and sought out consoling from her friends.
I blamed her.
I can't even grasp why anything wasn't done. My mom was supposed to be my protector.
I've never been exposed to this situation before. I was 27 years old. You're young, you're ignorant, you don't know anything about life.
Charges should have been pressed against my stepfather for molesting me.
I didn't bring charges against my ex-husband because I had to protect my children. He would have been put in prison. I had no income, no car, no career. I had nothing. By this all happening, I've lost a relationship with my daughter. She has told my ex-husband that she forgives him, but she could never forgive me. I'm her mother. She wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. My greatest fear is that I'm going to die, and my relationship with my daughter will never be resolved.
My mom is just a manipulative, selfish person. How in the world could you allow somebody to abuse your child and stay with them?
How do you know that somebody is molesting your innocent, precious child and you stay with them?
When I found out about this, we were in the military station in Germany, and I did contact the authorities. Heidi was taken to the military hospital, and it was justified by the doctors there. I was called into his company commander. I was called into his first sergeant. Everybody knew about it, and they basically told me that me and my children will be sent back to the United States and basically dropped off. We would have to find our own transportation to wherever we were going. I had 4 kids at the time, and I had no job, no income, no car, no career, no nothing.
Okay, but what's your point?
I had no way to take care of my children.
So still to this day, you still justify it?
There's no justification.
But no, but there is. I just asked you how you made a decision, and you've gone on to tell me all the reasons why you knew somebody was molesting your daughter, and not only did you not take her out of the situation, you didn't stop him from continuing to molest her.
I did not know he was continually molesting her.
How did you not know?
I had absolutely no idea.
Wait, what do you mean you had no idea? You caught him doing it when she was 9.
Exactly,
Listen,
and I went to
I'm asking you the hard questions because there's no point. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. You want a relationship with your daughter,
right?
And you're still. I don't get it.
How do you think I feel? I went to counseling.
I know how you
I
feel.
had a chaplain
You're telling me how you feel. You're saying you feel like you had no option.
A chaplain told me that once a pedophile is exposed, that most likely it stops. That's what they told me.
Who told you that?
I was 27 years old. The military chaplain.
A military chaplain told you that. That military chaplain is full of crap.
I didn't know.
Okay? He's full of crap.
That's what he told me.
A pedophile will typically, throughout their life, if not apprehended, molest between 100 and 400 victims.
And
don't tell me that come on, where was your common sense?
It was in 1983. It was not exposed like it is now.
Let me be sure I've got this right. You walk in and find your husband performing oral sex on your 9-year-old daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, he just says, well, you know, whatever, and goes to play softball.
At that point, I had no idea what happened. I don't know what happened to me. I think I had a mental breakdown. My girlfriend found me in the basement, in the garage, crying.
Well, that would make a whole lot more sense than what you're telling me, which is I wouldn't have had military benefits and had to get my own ride from somewhere if they sent me back to the States. They wouldn't have had to send you back to the States. I would have walked across the ocean if I had to get away from a predator. If you had a breakdown, you had a breakdown. That's a different story.
I do not know. From the time I walked in, I seriously do not know what happened to me.
Look, I'm asking you the hard questions because there's no way you're going to get a relationship with your daughter if you don't get real about this so she knows that you at least get it. Look, I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, Heidi is going to join us. She's going to sit right here, and coming up, I'm going to talk to the molester and see what he has to say about this as well. We'll be right back.
I asked my ex-husband, did you marry me for my daughter or did you marry me for me? He told me that because I was gone all the time at night, that he turned to Heidi, my daughter, for companionship. It's very, very sick.
We're talking today about a very disturbing situation. We're dealing with molestation from the home. It often comes from the inside out instead of the predators from the outside that we used to think were the biggest threat. Now, Susan admits that she made mistakes. She is Heidi's mother who discovered that her husband was molesting Heidi, we now know, starting around age 4 or 5. After discovering at age 9, she chose to stay with him, and the molestation continued for another 6 or 7 years. And Heidi, you want to come on out? How you doing? Heidi, you've been listening from off camera just over at the producer stand, right?
Yes.
And I've seen you over there just about to explode.
Yes. I cannot believe that she said that she took me to the hospital.
You were taken to the hospital.
And had people, CID or whoever, she's saying, do something. The only time I was ever taken to a hospital was when your other boyfriend molested me.
I had no idea about any of this.
And that's the only time I can remember.
No, it was not. You were taken. It's in your military records.
No, I don't believe a word you say.
Are you telling me that there was not another molestation that
I
you
had
knew
no
about?
idea about it.
You had no idea?
No, none.
Did she know about it?
Yes.
How did she know?
Because I told her. She was dating the guy.
Somebody's lying here.
Well, I have facts. If you pull her military records, you will see
Well,
she was
I don't have a
taken
military
to the
record.
hospital.
I have you. And you have to understand
Right.
that your credibility is probably not real great because you've already said you made some hugely bad decisions
Exactly.
here. And if you want a relationship with your daughter, you can't deny her again. She's here now saying, this is what happened. Tell the truth, Mother, so we can deal with
Maybe
this.
she doesn't remember it. I have proof and justification. My best friend in Germany is the one that took me to the hospital. She was justified. It was sewn by the doctor.
Only
Let me
thing
finish.
That you ever did,
Let
you
me
did not
finish.
go to a basement and cry. You went up to Irene's house.
No, I did
you
not.
left
Irene
me.
found me.
No, I'm sorry. I remember.
You don't remember.
Okay, you're right.
You don't.
Kids
I was
don't usually
found.
forget about being molested.
I don't care whether she forgets or what. It's a fact. My best friend found me in the basement.
It doesn't matter who found
we
you.
called a
The
hotline.
fact that you didn't do anything
Let me
is
finish.
ridiculous.
Basically, it was shoved under the rug because he was a military policeman.
I can tell you that child molestation is not something that the military takes lightly. It is not something that I have ever, in my experience of dealing with these things, year after year after year, have found somebody that sweeps something under the rug for some soldier that is victimizing children
I can give
in
you
society.
the name of every single one of them.
Well, we're going to give them an opportunity to respond to this. I'll guarantee you, because if you think I won't contact them
You can.
and
I
give
would
them
be
an
glad if
opportunity
you
to talk
did.
about this, then I certainly will, because she wants answers. And I guess the question that I have, and that I know you have, because we've talked to you before now, is how in the world you can walk in on your husband sexually molesting your daughter, and you say yourself, at the time, you're saying all this about, well, I had nowhere to go, I had no money, I had no resources, I had no anything, so I just didn't do anything. But you said yourself that at the time, you actually blamed her.
I said in the beginning, in the beginning, I most likely probably did blame her. Yes,
May
I
I
did.
say
I don't know
something?
why.
Please.
Even if she didn't have anywhere to go through the military because she needed her way paid, she has two amazing parents.
And they were in the process of moving to Texas.
It doesn't matter what it costs. It doesn't matter what it is. You know what? There's no excuse.
So basically, she's just come out here and told us a bunch of lies.
No, it's not a bunch of lies. Heidi.
You're lying. You're
No,
full
I'm
of
not
it.
lying. And you have an attitude, and you even told Tiffany that you wanted to come on stage
Listen,
and destroy
she's
me.
entitled to an
But
attitude,
no,
don't you
because
think?
you don't know the circumstances.
I do
I
wanna
was
know.
a victim in the circumstances, too. I did things wrong. Yes, I handled it completely different. But I have proof of exactly what happened. My best friend found me in the basement. I think I had a mental breakdown. You can doubt me, Heidi. You can shake your head. You can do what you want, but that is what happened.
As a
I
mother
do not.
myself, we have mental breakdowns quite often, but you know what? You get over it.
No, you
and
don't
you do what's
get
best
over
for
it.
your kids, because that's more important than the selfish value inside of it. It wasn't selfish. And if anything ever happened to my kids, anything, I cannot even imagine.
Don't go there, Heidi.
I cannot even imagine.
Don't go where?
She has put her daughter in abusive relationships.
That
Heidi,
is hilarious.
You have with one of your boyfriends.
I did not put my daughter
That's
in
why
any
she went to
abusive
go back and
relationship.
live with Anthony.
No, that is not
Well,
true.
I'm going to get to the bottom of this when we come back.
My memories from my childhood were not good memories. I remember my mom smoking bongs. My mother would have straws and cocaine, sniffing at the table. She had a lot of flings while being married to John. I'd find her in bed in our home with men. I cannot comprehend a lot of what my mom has done.
We're talking about molestation. Now, the circumstance is that Susan discovered the molestation and yet stayed with the molester and continued to have that molester alone with her children for years to come. We asked Heidi what kind of mother you were outside of this during this time. She didn't give you a good report card. She says you put your son on a leash, that you borrowed money from her when she was living on her own in high school, that you stole a family member's ID and ruined their credit, that you sent your son to Austin, Texas to pilfer on the street pretending he was homeless so he could get money.
Oh my God.
True or false?
True. It is not true.
I want to talk about what we can agree on. Was your daughter molested by your husband?
Yes, he was. Yes, she was.
Did you know it?
Yes, I discovered it.
Okay, you discovered it at age 9 because you walked in on them.
Yes.
All right? At that point, was he remorseful? Did he say, oh my God, this is horrible? Or did he go to play softball?
He went to go play softball.
Okay.
He had no remorse at all.
Can we then agree you continued to stay in that relationship and subject her to this monster, this predator, for another 6 or 7 years?
But I was not aware of it.
Okay, no, we're not talking.
I was sitting there saying, oh, I was not aware of it.
No, hang on. We're just talking about the facts right now. We'll talk about attitudes and awarenesses in a minute. Is the fact that after you caught him in the act of molesting your daughter at age 9, you continued to live with him, with your daughter in the house for another 6 or 7 years?
Yes.
And during that time, you allowed him to be alone with the children?
Yes.
Knowing that he had molested her?
Yes.
And the fact is that he continued to molest you throughout the next 6 or 7 years?
I would be sleeping, and yes, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and have to yell, get out of my room.
How big was y'all's house, by the way? Did you have like a big rolling mansion?
It was like an L shape. There was bedrooms here and there was bedrooms
Probably
down.
about 800 to 1,000 square feet.
About 800.
And then when we were in the other...
And you had no idea that he was going into her bedroom at night?
I had absolutely
You're in
no
800
idea.
square feet. That's like from here to that camera right there.
It was bigger than that.
Okay, 900, 1,000, 1,200, 15,
and where
16.
we were other stations, her bedroom was down in the basement and we were upstairs.
Nothing was happening then. So
Okay, but
yes, it was. You told.
And you said that you may have had a breakdown, which didn't last for 7 years.
No.
So it had to be over at some point, right?
But
and so at that point,
I didn't
when the fog
understand what a
cleared,
pedophile does. Nobody understands that. I did not know. And this chaplain...
You caught
him. I was
him.
going to counseling. The chaplain told me that once they're exposed, that it doesn't happen anymore. I didn't know. I didn't know any difference. I was a baby with her, too.
Okay, you were 27.
Right, exactly.
Okay. But let's assume.
It's such a big joke. I love people laughing when they're not in the circumstances. You don't have any idea.
They're not laughing. That's anxiety and sarcasm is what you're hearing, because people are outraged at not what you did then, but what you're saying now. What you're saying now. Because now you are saying, look, I was a victim here.
No, I'm not saying, I said I was too. We both were a victim. And yes, I should have done things wrong. Yes, I know I am very guilty of not handling it different. And let me tell you right now, if it happened right this day, I probably would have called every officer in the military to do what I could and protect me and my children. But nobody was there for us.
You know why you say she won't have a relationship with me? Because you refuse to acknowledge her point of view. You refuse to say a child expects a parent to protect them. I don't care if you had to live under a bridge or go to a shelter. You don't allow your child to be fed like a sacrificial lamb to some that is abusing her. You can't do that, and it's not what you did then. If you say I was on drugs then, I had a mental breakdown then, I was naive then, I didn't know, you may not then, but you know now. And even now you're not saying you're right, I'm sorry, how can I ever make it up to you? You're saying you have an attitude. Well, hell yes, she has an attitude.
What am I supposed to do? I look at her, and all I want to do is grab her and hold her and hug her and tell her how sorry I am, that I was wrong, I made mistakes,
well, then
I wasn't aware, and she sits there with a cocky attitude that I can't even get through to her.
You keep making this about her bad attitude. The fact that she is even willing to sit on this stage with you and address this to me, is the real attitude that I see. And the fact that you think she's got a chip on her shoulder, that she has a lack of trust, you own that lack of trust. You own that chip on her shoulder. You own that attitude. You can't criticize it. And it begins with acknowledging what went wrong at the time. We'll be right back.
The only reason I have more respect for my stepfather than I do my mother is the fact that he owned up to what he did and he's remorseful for it. My mother has never admitted to doing anything wrong.
I cannot figure out why Heidi would have a relationship with my ex-husband, John.
I do not have a relationship with my stepfather now.
When she was 18, she made a special trip to go to visit him. I don't know if anything happened when she went on that visit.
I've never gone to visit him. I don't remember the last time I saw my stepfather.
I asked my ex-husband, did you ever love me? Did you marry me for my daughter, or did you marry me for me? He told me that because I was gone all the time at night, that he turned to Heidi, my daughter, for companionship. It made me sick to my stomach. I wanted to throw up.
That was Susan and Heidi that are here actually today in the aftermath of a tragic situation where Heidi was molested by her stepfather from the very young age of 4 or 5 until she was almost 16 years of age. Susan discovered this happening at 9 years of age, but continued to live with the predator, live with the molester, with her daughter Heidi for several more years. Your mother is saying you have a tremendous attitude, that you've got resentment, that you've got this chip on your shoulder, which I say, yeah.
I think I did for a long time.
Yeah. My point is, what is it that, if anything, that you want from her now? Do you want to have a relationship with your mother? And what would she have to do in order for that to become possible?
Quite honestly, I just would have to see that she's changed, that she's accepted her faults, that she's accepted what she's done, not only to me, but to my siblings.
Why are you so defensive when she says that? You're sitting there with your arms crossed and you're going, oh. You can't even let her finish. Why are you so defensive about it?
Because Heidi's so degrading of me, and there's things that she does, and we don't sit there and put it out there and let people know and let the world know. And there's things she doesn't see and doesn't remember. She went at 18 years old and stayed in his military barracks with him. I have a picture of it, and he can justify it.
Okay, what is your point?
Then? What was the excuse then for her exposing herself to him continually?
The excuse was, I remember, you told me to pick up my brother and sister and bring them to you in
Your brother
Missouri.
and sister weren't there.
Where were
He was living in the military barracks.
Okay, listen, I really believe that you just don't get it.
I do get it.
No, you can't get it if you say, how could she? Why would she? How could this happen?
Because she continually kept exposing herself to him when she was older. Why?
I'm an adult. I know how to protect myself.
No, you were not. You were 16
myself when I was
and you were
11.
18.
Hello? I think I could protect myself and knew what I was doing.
She's making up stories that are not
my
true.
goodness.
That's why she's trying to make it where she was justifiable for things that happened, and that I'm not. I didn't give protection for her.
Please listen to me. I have such a rush in my head right now. If I don't say it, I'm just going to explode. You say, how could she do this? How could she do that? Because the dynamic between a molester and their victim can go on for years or a lifetime. You subjected her to that. You allowed that to continue. You can't poison her, contaminate her, change her, and then criticize the result. Do you not get that when you are molested, it changes who you are?
I know nothing about a molester.
Then you need to learn. You need to learn before you start criticizing. What you want to do is she gives you attitude, so what you want to do is start taking her down a notch. Say, well, she did this, and she did that, and she did this. That's exactly what you're doing.
I said I don't want to do that. I said she can't. She's sitting there doing that. No, I have not, Heidi.
I don't want to argue. I want to be.
I
want to be like have a
either.
real conversation here. This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It really is.
What is ridiculous?
Not to understand anything.
You're right. I don't understand.
No, not you. And
really?
See, exactly.
I don't understand.
How can I talk to that?
You can talk to it by not being so defensive. You are completely and totally defensive.
Because I'm being degraded constantly. Why wouldn't I be defensive? Like you sitting there saying you can't believe the military would do that to us. I can justify everything I've told you. I can tell you every name I went to, every officer.
Does it matter?
Yes.
No, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm telling you that you don't get. You are a mother. It's not the military's job to protect your child. It's yours.
In a foreign country, I couldn't leave without them.
Are you trying to tell me that the military told you you must take your daughter back and put her in the hands of that molester?
Basically, yes. Oh, everybody's sitting there going, oh.
That's because that is a load of crap. You are giving the arguments that you had then to justify your behavior when, as you sit here today, you know better. Yes. You know that your #1 responsibility in this world was to protect this and her brothers and sisters.
And my children and just left and put him in prison and just done whatever. I should have raised Holy
Absolutely,
Cain.
unequivocally,
that's what I should
is
have
true.
done.
Yes.
Agreed?
I know I should have.
Does it help at least to hear her say that?
It's the first time, and yeah, that's great.
I know what I should have done.
But
But I had a 4-month-old and a 20-month-old.
Wait a minute, you just screwed it up.
Oh, no, I'm just saying.
No.
I know.
You were doing so good, and then you had to put a but in there. But I had a 4 and a 2.
Okay,
Listen,
I'm wrong.
I put women in shelters all the time. I refer them to shelters. There are shelters in the United States. There are places to go if you had to go under a bridge.
You're right.
There are places to go. You don't take your daughter back and trade her for rent.
Right.
But
There's another player in this thing, and it's the actual molester in this. He doesn't want to come on the stage here for reasons of his own. He's backstage, and I'm going to go back and talk to him for a few minutes when we come back. Just joining us, we're dealing with a situation today where a young girl has been molested for a number of years. The twist in this story is that her mother knew about it and continued to live in the home with a predator, making the daughter exposed to additional molestation. John is the molester. He's backstage, did not want to come on stage. I'm going to go in and have a talk with him now and see what his position on all of this is. John, Dr. Phil.
How you doing?
So we're calling you John today, and we're shooting you from behind only, okay? That's important because I'm on a quest for some truth here about what's going on in this situation, because I'm trying to heal a family, and I'm trying to heal a relationship. And you have been a big problem in this situation because you sexually molested this innocent child for a number of years, correct?
Correct.
And you admit to that, right?
Yes.
You were actually caught doing this by this child's mother when she was 9 years old, correct?
The best of my knowledge, she assumed more than she actually saw. I don't think, but my memory is very, very faded. But she.
But you're not
she watched-
equivocating.
No.
And I'm just trying to get to some truth here about what went on. You were molesting the child.
Correct.
Whatever she walked in on or didn't walk in on, you were molesting the child.
Correct.
And you continued to after that.
Correct.
Now, at this point, did it ever occur to you that you were destroying a child's life?
At that time, not really, no.
How many victims have you had in your life?
She's the only one.
She's the only one that you've ever done this with. Now, listen.
I'll take that back to the first time. There was a girlfriend of hers, and it was, I don't know if it was her self-defense mechanism, but she brought a friend in to, I guess, take the pressure off her.
Okay, now,
that was the only other time.
Understand, we're shooting you from behind. You're in disguise, and I have reluctantly agreed not to use your name.
Thank you.
So you have nothing to hide here.
Correct.
But the truth.
Correct.
Now, you and I know she's not your only victim. And I know of other circumstances because I've got private investigators and I've drilled down on this. And I don't want to make trouble for you, but I don't want you lying to me either.
I'm not lying to the best of my knowledge.
You're telling me this is the only child you've ever molested. That's not true.
I didn't say that. I admitted to the other child.
No, you admitted to one other.
Correct.
And that's not the only other.
It's assumptions on the other parts.
Okay, so that's your story and you're sticking to it?
It's the best I can remember. Like I said, my memory is very, very faded
I don't know
on
anything
it.
about it.
Okay, well, that's a convenient fading. Now, John, come on.
It's not.
At this point, you've never been charged, you've never been convicted, you're not a registered sex offender.
No.
Do you consider yourself a pedophile?
Yes.
Do you consider yourself a child molester?
Yes.
Okay, but you're asking me to believe that just this one child, Heidi, and her friend.
Right.
And she brought a friend in, and so you preyed upon the friend as well.
It was. I didn't start it. She was curious, and she pushed it, and but I didn't stop it. So, it's the same thing.
I wonder what Heidi will say about this.
I've talked with her several times. I visited her. She's visited me. And I've tried to be as open as I possibly can on it to let her know that it wasn't her fault.
And you said that at the time that you went this direction because you needed companionship and Susan was never there.
That was, from what I remember, that's the feeling that I had. I was looking for something, and it manifested in this way.
Why did you not get charged and put in jail at the time?
I believe my ex-wife was trying to do the best thing for the family as far as me being the breadwinner, the medical, just a lot of stuff that the family, I could help the family more from that position than I could from behind bars.
Help the family. You didn't have companionship, but because you had the power of the dollar and the power of the medical, you were able to continue to have a victim in the home, and that's what you call helping the family. I mean, the two of y'all talked about that? Did you and Susan talk about that?
No.
It just never got discussed, right?
Well, when we were called in, she just never pressed charges.
Just never pressed charges. And so you knew you'd been caught, but you kept doing it anyway.
Yes.
And you realized that so you wouldn't feel lonely, you basically destroyed a young person's life. You just took it away from her. You just took it away from her. Do you get that? I'm trying to find somebody that gets what's going on here in this story.
I understand that, yes.
Anything you want to say to Susan or Heidi, your ex-wife or Heidi?
If anything, if they need a common enemy, somebody that they need to to hate me.
Okay. I hope you're telling me the truth about what's happening in your life right now. I hope I'm not sending you back to wherever you go, putting children in jeopardy.
That's why I'm willing to go on with, if there's any furthers that we can do, I'm willing to do that.
Okay, I'm going to go talk to these ladies. All right?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't believe it. I don't believe a word of it. I don't believe those are the only victims. I've got information about others. I don't think for a second that this is a safe situation. I'm going to go talk to Heidi and Susan when we come back. Well, I'm back on stage. I'm here with Susan and Heidi. I've just been backstage talking to John. We did not show his face. That is not his real name, which is part of the deal for him to be willing to talk about this. He was not willing to come out here and talk to this mother and daughter, whose both lives he impacted in a tragic way. What did you think about what he was saying?
I'm very confused, and I think to hear him say that he could prey on another child because it took something away from me, it makes me sick.
He said that you brought a friend in perhaps to take the pressure off of yourself.
Right. You know how old I was? 5. I remember.
What do you think about what he had to say?
I can't even talk.
Dr. Phil, I know from my other brothers and sisters that she's constantly calling him for things. I just don't understand.
If you think he's such a horrible person, then what are you doing calling him all the time?
I have not called him all the time.
Let me say this to you. You say that you have forgiven him.
Yes.
And I actually hope that's true. You actually say that you've forgiven your mother.
Yes.
I don't believe that's true.
Okay.
I think you're working at it, but the bitterness in your voice, the anger, the angst, which you are entitled to till the ends of the earth, tell me that that's a work in progress. I think people do the best they can with what they have, and I think your mother, despite her defensiveness, I think she's trying to find her way to some point of clarity here. And when you forgive other people, it's really not about them. It's truly about you, because if you have anger and bitterness, hatred, any of those things in your heart for your mother or for John or for anyone else, it changes who you are. And your children don't get all of their mom. Your husband doesn't get all of his wife. Maybe the relationship starts by just exchanging a few notes. Maybe it starts with a 5-minute phone call once a month. Maybe it starts with some boundaries where we don't talk about the past. We're just going to talk about the here and now for this point. And maybe it never goes beyond that, or maybe it does. But you take it a step at a time and you do what works for you. Anything I can do to offer resources to help heal this situation, I will do.
Can you help me understand? I don't understand. Heidi, please, just listen to me. I don't understand the minds of a pedophile. I've read on it. I don't understand
I do think
a
those
lot
are,
about it.
I do think those are things that I think it would be good for me to arrange a resource to walk you through those things and help you get some clarity. And you know,
the victimization.
Because she can say that, and you can very understandably roll your eyes about it, but then let's do that. Let's answer that question and see if we can get to a point of harmony about that. I'm not saying you two should go into mother-daughter counseling at this point. I think you may want to do some individual things, and you may or may not, and then we'll see where that leads. All right? We'll be right back. There is no more precious treasure in life than your children. And make no mistake, our number one calling, it is an undivided loyalty to protect our children, to nurture our children, to prepare our children to move on in life. Sometimes those threats come from the outside, sometimes they come from the inside. It's your job to watch both sides of that fence and know what's going on. If you need help with that, go to drphil.com. We'd love to hear your story, hear your questions. Thanks for being here today. So long.
Who's telling the truth?
He would call me Mexican, the fat-ass wife.
Or are they both liars?
Do you have cancer?
Who deserve to lie in the bed they've made?
You admit you lied to him. Why did you do that?
Now, he's accusing his wife of the ultimate sin.
Why did you make me the mother of your children? Why?
Have you been drinking today?
I don't like to be insulted, Dr. Phil.
You're lying to me.
I don't belong here.
Don't you insult me.
I'm done with this show.
You're not going to bully me. If you want to run, there's the runway. Take a walk. Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6.
If it's happening now, we're going to deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A and roll A. Track it.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Thank you very much. Okay, now, when you're talking about marriage, in fact, relationships in general, if it's going to be successful, then it has to be based on truth, honesty, and openness, right? Look, it's a tough world out there, so we expect that when we get home, in our most intimate relationships, we can relax and we don't have to watch our backs with those who should protect us rather than hurt us. Now, Elizabeth and Matt say their marriage is anything but a soft place to fall and anything but truthful and honest. Elizabeth says that Matt is a pathological liar and a con man, and that he has false claims, among other things, that he has cancer. Now, Matt says Elizabeth is a crazy one and goes so far as to accuse her of molesting her 12-year-old son. Are they both liars? Are they both sick and exploitive? Or is somebody here telling the truth? You're going to get a chance to decide. Take a look.
I married a con artist. I don't even know what the truth is with him. All I got was lies after lies, stories after stories.
Elizabeth needs help. Elizabeth is a sociopath. No guilt, no remorse. She is a pathological liar. There's no question in my mind.
Matthew and I met 3 years ago on the internet. Matthew told me he was a doctor. He claimed that he had millions of dollars.
Elizabeth told me she was a marine biologist, and then she told me she was a phone sex operator. This was all false.
He told me he was dying of cancer. That's how my husband conned me into marrying him. He was very persistent.
That is so false. Elizabeth was eager to be with me because I was financially well-to-do.
My husband said that he would pay my bills and take care of my son and I. He said that he owned a multi-million-dollar home in Florida, an SL Mercedes. None of that was true. Every time we would take trips to Florida, we never seemed to see the house because the keys were lost. He said that he misplaced them. We were living out of my car, sleeping at rest stops. There was no money, nothing existed.
Elizabeth believes what she wants to believe. I don't think my wife knows the difference between lies and the truth.
Matthew told me he was a cardiothoracic surgeon, but I never saw a paycheck. I would question him, may I see your diploma? And he got real defensive. When I questioned the cancer. He says that it's such a touchy subject. I don't want to talk about it. I'm too ill. The drinking was daily. I just thought that he's drinking to cope with the cancer.
Elizabeth will say I have an alcohol problem. That's her excuse. That's absolutely false.
He would take prescription pills like Vicodins and mix those two together. He would call me Mexican, constantly yell at me, "You're a bitch." When I became his wife, I was the fat-ass wife. He was jealous of my son.
Elizabeth treats Alexander more like a husband than a son. They have slept together nude. There's definitely, in my opinion, molestation.
Matthew was so controlling. At 10 o'clock, we always had to have sex. After 3 years of marriage, we have 2 daughters now, living in a bedroom at my parents' home. I filed for divorce now. Matthew's living with a couple and still betraying that he's a doctor. He's conning this family, promising them millions of dollars and custody of our 2 daughters. There's no millions of dollars. My husband's not a doctor.
I graduated from the University of Michigan Medical School in 1996. I love her, but I think she's very unstable. That concerns me, and I want to get help for her.
I thought that he loved me, and what frightens me the most is the false allegations. I may lose my children because of that. And I'm a good mother.
Okay, you two have serious accusations towards one another. You agree that they're serious, right?
Yes, sir.
And you have 2 children together.
Yes, sir.
You believe she's been sexually inappropriate with her teenage son.
Yes, sir.
How can you sit there and say that? If I molested my son, then why did you make me the mother of your 2 children? Why? Speechless, huh? Because everything that comes out of that mouth is a lie.
You don't think it's a lie at all, do you? I mean, you believe she's been inappropriate.
Absolutely.
Okay, so when we were living out of my car and we were going city to city, state to state, you never allowed Alexander and I to be alone together. We were constantly, when we slept at motels, when you were ready to sleep in a motel and not in the car, you had to sleep in the middle of us, holding our hands.
Is that because you were concerned about what she might do?
Absolutely.
Wow.
You guys met on the internet, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Did she lie to you from the beginning?
Yes, sir.
What did she say to you?
You were a marine biologist, a phone sex operator. You were in a may I talk? In a relationship with a woman
No.
who had the same vehicle that I had.
No.
That's not true.
No. Okay, I did lie that I was a marine biologist. I did lie about that, but he knew within a week somebody to notice me. But within a week or 2, us speaking to one another, he asked me, and I told him the truth. I told him, I said, yes, I did lie. You kept questioning me. Are you really one? Are you really one? And I said, you know what, Matthew, I'm truly sorry. I did lie. And you forgave me for that.
Yes, I did.
All right, so you admit you lied up front to him.
Yes, I did. And within a week or 2, when we were talking on the phone, because we were talking every day and every night, I told him the truth. I wasn't...
And how long did y'all know each other before you got married?
About 3.5 weeks.
No, 3.5 months.
The whole point here is we want to get down to the truth here because there are children involved,
Yes.
right? I
Yes.
mean, there are children involved. So we want to get down to the truth here. Do you intend to be honest with the questions that I ask you today?
Yes.
All right. Do you intend to be honest with the questions I ask you today? All right. There are more accusations between these two. There's been mudslinging for a long time, which is good for nobody. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
Matthew got physical. He slapped my lower forearm. I forgave him because I felt that I had to as a wife.
Elizabeth has tried to have me arrested 4 times for domestic abuse. Every time the police would come, they think my wife's crazy. I am a 3rd-degree black belt. They know if I hit anybody, there'd be signs of damage. There's no sign of it. I would never touch a woman.
Matthew is very controlling. I wasn't allowed to leave his sight. I couldn't take a shower by myself. He would take a shower with me. I was never allowed to be alone with my son. My husband would tell me when to eat and what shows I was allowed to watch. When it was time to have sex, I had sex.
Elizabeth never feels any guilt. She believes what she wants to believe.
Okay, I'm back with Matthew and Elizabeth. Now, right now, they are not living together. There are accusations going both ways. Elizabeth says that Matt is a pathological liar, a con man, an alcoholic, a pill popper. They told Elizabeth he had a liver tumor, and he did that to get her to marry him. Matt says that is absolutely not true, that she is a liar and a sociopath and has molested her 12-year-old son. Now, I've been asking Elizabeth questions, and she has told lies in this relationship, and she has admitted that. Now, I have some questions for you. Sure. First off, have you been drinking today?
No.
You haven't had anything to drink today?
No.
Because you kind of smelled like it when I met you.
Wow, I'm surprised. No.
Yeah, maybe it's your cologne.
I don't like to be insulted, Dr. Phil. Okay.
Might want to change cologne. No, I'm telling you, it may be your cologne. You said you graduated from Michigan Medical School in 1996.
Correct.
And you did your residency in internal medicine at St. Joseph's Hospital?
University of Michigan and St. Joseph Hospital.
And St. Joseph's. Okay. I assume you knew Giles Voyle.
Of course.
And who is he?
Internal medicine. Head of internal medicine.
Well, actually, he's not. He was the dean of the medical school.
I disagree with that.
The University of Michigan has it wrong then, because they have him as the dean of the medical school. If I'm going to be
laughed at, then I don't belong here.
Let me tell you something. I always treat people with dignity and respect, and I expect nothing less back from you. Okay, so I expect if I ask you a question, you at least tell me the truth. Okay. Now, we've talked to the University of Michigan. We've talked to University of Michigan Medical School. We've talked to St. Joseph's, and there is absolutely no record of you ever attending that medical school, of you ever graduating from that medical school, or you ever doing residency at St. Joseph's. You hold no medical license anywhere in the world.
No, I do not know.
So why do you say you graduated from that medical school when, but you know you didn't?
But that's not true.
How did they miss you? I mean, seriously, how did they miss you? You were there for 4 years.
I'm glad this is humorous, and I'm glad this is an entertaining show, and this is enjoyable.
That doesn't answer the question.
Sure.
I have no control over what these people say or do.
Okay.
And don't you insult me by suggesting that this is all about entertainment. I'm here in the interest of your daughters.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
I'm here in the interest of your daughters. And if you care about those daughters, then you'll stop this manipulative crap and talk to me man to man. Did you graduate from medical school?
Yes, I did.
Why do they not have a record of it?
I did not want my wife doing anything to destroy me. It's very easy. A Medicaid billing number, DEA number, it's very easy to find something out.
Are you saying that you gave her the wrong medical school because you don't want her having the ability?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you did go to medical school, but not Michigan.
Correct.
Where did you go to medical school?
I'm not going to reveal that in front of my wife. I'm sorry.
Okay,
That's not what
so
I'm here for.
You always, when we were on the internet and talking, and you made me always tell the truth with everything, and I did. I did tell you the truth. Okay, yes, I threw in the phone sex operator thing because you kept throwing your ex-girlfriend in my face because she was a stripper and she was a size 2 and she was a double D. And when you're getting compared to that, that's disrespectful. And I wanted you to feel my pain, so I made something up. And I lied, and you know that.
All right, hold on. The next question I've got is obviously very serious. And I hope the answer is no. I mean, I hope and pray the answer is no. But do you have cancer?
I have pancreatic cancer.
As the
yes.
mother, as the father of these daughters, I think the mother's entitled to know the truth about
My
this.
attorney advised me that
it
can go
depends on
against
what's
me for
going to happen.
custody. My attorney advised me, and you can put him on the phone. I have to play that down because that can hurt my case, and he is available for you on the phone.
Because you have
24/7.
promised a family that is sitting here today. You are promising them our children, because I'm sorry about the family that they lost a son a year ago. But how can you promise our two little girls, our daughters that we have together, Matthew? How can you promise this family? Our daughters when you die, when you're not dying.
Let me ask you a question in
No,
front of
I'm a
Dr.
good
Phil.
mom.
Outside of the courthouse, you said I can
Yes.
see my girls anytime. We went upstairs.
I told you,
the
you
district
can
attorney-
see the girls anytime, Matthew, as long as you don't drink.
The district attorney offered you $600 more a month child support.
Lie.
Under the conditions.
False.
You said you would accept the money. I asked to see my children for 2 hours with you there. And one day during Thanksgiving, you denied it. District attorney and my attorney on that phone will verify that. Please.
All right, next we're going to meet the people who took Matt into their home. And we're going to add them to the mix when we come back. Thank you, sir. I'll bring them down. I'll bring them down.
3 weeks after my daughter was born, Matthew was very insistent in having sex. He would tell me, let's have another baby. I was against it. He just told me that since he's a doctor, he would take care of me.
That is so false. I did not pressure her to have children. She wanted to have children.
And later.
I volunteered to take the polygraph test because I want to be able to prove that I am a good mother and I do not neglect my children.
I am hoping this test, I'm not hoping, I will guarantee this test will prove that I'm telling the truth and why my daughters need to be with me and not their mother.
Matthew has convinced Randy and Rhonda, who he's living with, that his father has died and his mother has dementia and that our children lived in a very dangerous environment, and that my father was in the Mexican mafia. Matthew is lying to the family just like all the lies that he's told me.
All right, Randy and Rhonda are a married couple that basically took Matt in, and they believe that they are caring for him through what may be the last phase of his life, in that he has cancer. Let's take a look.
Matt's a mixture between a brother and a son.
Just love them. When you love someone, you just do whatever you can to help them. I met Matt a year ago.
He talked to Rhonda a lot about the death of our son. We got to know Matt as we were going through the process of grieving.
About 4 months ago, Matt told us about Elizabeth leaving him. He was pretty heartbroken.
He wasn't eating, so we brought him in and tried to nurse him back to health.
We were like, come to our house and be a part of our family, and we'll help you through this. Elizabeth is alleging that Matt and I are having an affair, using drugs. She's come up with some really crazy things, and she's very unstable.
Being in Elizabeth's house, the kids may be in danger of child abuse.
I would like to get the kids out of the house and make sure that they're safe.
I feel like the children do belong with Matthew.
We did have an empty space losing my son. And Matt came in, and we all accepted him and loved him, and it hurts us when he's being hurt. I don't want to see him hurt anymore.
Do you call them Mom and Dad?
Okay, hold on. Hold on.
I'm sorry. This is...
Okay. Randy, Rhonda, you've been listening to what's going on here. How do you feel about this process?
It's tough to hear all these things that are going on. We were just trying to help Matthew, when we first met him.
Do you feel like he's been honest with you?
We didn't have any other reason why not to.
Did you lose your dad 3 weeks ago?
That I will not discuss.
Did he tell you he lost his dad
Asked me not to discuss
3
that.
weeks ago?
That's what we heard.
Did you attend a funeral?
We didn't go.
Because it didn't exist.
That is something my mother asked me not to discuss, and she's going to go by her middle name, Lee, when you put her on the phone.
Yeah. Lee, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Lee, did you lose your husband 3 weeks ago to death?
No, I didn't. He is alive and well.
Okay. Randy, Rhonda, he told you that he passed away 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and there was a funeral and everything. We just didn't go.
Why did you tell him that he died?
Who told me that?
Pardon me?
Who told me that, Mom?
I don't know, Matt. I don't know.
To your knowledge, is your son a physician?
He's not a physician. He attended college, to my knowledge.
So he did not go to medical school, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, he did not go.
Wayne State Medical School is where I attended, and I've told people that.
Did he tell you that he was worth millions of dollars?
Yeah, he said that before. Yeah.
And that you would inherit that when he dies?
We drew the will up, but the will was for what his wishes were.
Is that true? Are you worth millions of dollars?
You know what? I don't have to admit that. My attorney, you put my attorney on the phone, I do not have to admit that.
Well, you don't have to admit anything. I'm just asking you.
I cannot answer that question.
Yeah. Did you file for bankruptcy in 2004?
No, I did not. Well, yes, I did. I take that back.
The records show that you filed for bankruptcy and
I eliminated that. I eliminated that.
You showed a net worth of $3,800 and bills of $49,000.
That's not true.
Well, okay. Were y'all aware of that?
No, I wasn't.
I was just asking you the truth. I mean, don't you want to know the truth, right?
That's why we're here.
It's obvious to me, Dr. Phil, you're on my wife's side, and that's okay. That's okay.
He's not on anybody's
It's
side,
okay.
Matthew.
I expected this.
There's your side, there's your wife's side, and there's the children's side. And make no mistake, I'm on the children's side. And if you care about them as their father, you would support me in doing that. I am asking questions on their behalf. I'm asking questions to get to the truth, Matthew.
Have you read the allegations from my mother and myself against this woman?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what's more important? You want to bring up my financial, my education. Okay, I know what I am. I'm not as wealthy as you. Okay?
What?
Makes for a good show, doesn't it?
What I'm trying to do...
You're a father, correct?
I am a father, yes.
You read those allegations. What would you do, sir?
I would be very, very concerned, but I don't think I would respond by creating a fantasy life, and I'm very concerned that you are exploiting these people if you're not telling them the truth. If you're telling them the truth and they say they care about you and want to support you, then God bless you for doing that, and I'm glad that you have these friends and supporters. But if you're misleading them, if you're giving them false information, then you owe them the truth. You owe her the truth.
I don't owe her anything. I owe her nothing.
Why? Why would you not owe the mother of your children anything?
She's very deceptive. Because she's deceptive.
These two did take a lie detector test on some critical issues. I don't know what the results are, but I'm going to find out with you when we come back, and hopefully that's going to shed some very clear light on what's happening here.
I want to prove that I am a good mother and I do not neglect my children.
I hope a lot of your questions are about my wife, the way she's treated me, treated her son.
Actually, the questions are about you.
It is very difficult to tell if my wife is telling me the truth or lying to me. I'm glad we're doing a lie detector.
I don't even know what the truth is with him. All I got was lies after lies, stories after stories.
I'm really seeing this in black and white and thinking about this. I'm going to put the woman in jail is what I'm going to do.
There are serious allegations from both. Elizabeth had admitted that she lied to Matt in the beginning of the relationship, said she was a marine biologist and then subsequently a phone sex operator. Her husband, Matt, says that she has been sexually inappropriate, with her 12-year-old son, and that he is very concerned about that. In an effort to try to get to the bottom of these things, we asked them if they would take a lie detector test, which they both agreed to. Take a look.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jack Tremarco. Welcome to Beverly Hills.
Hi, nice to meet
And
you.
I'm going to be administering your polygraph test today.
Okay. I want to prove that I am a good mother and I do not neglect my children or molest my son. I am ready to take this test.
What I'd like to do is define the term touching for sexual purposes, and that term to me means the sexual excitement or sexual gratification of the person who's doing the touching, or the perceived sexual excitement or sexual gratification for the person receiving the touching. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever touched your son for sexual purposes?
No.
Since your marriage to Matt, have you ever touched your son for sexual purposes?
No.
Are you sure that I won't try to trick you on this test?
Yes.
Congratulations, you just had your first polygraph test.
I feel that the test went really well. I'm here to speak the truth. I hope that's what my results show.
I will guarantee this test will prove that I'm telling the truth and why my daughters need to be with me and not their mother. But just start, and if there's something I don't want to answer, I will just tell you.
Have you ever been diagnosed with a life-threatening condition?
That I will not answer. Could I test you on something when you ask me what my name is, and if I say that's false, would you let me see the reading and see that it's false?
No.
I hope a lot of your questions are about my wife, the way she's treated me, treated her son.
Actually, the questions are about you.
Why am I nervous about this when I'm telling the truth? Is that normal?
Yes. And of course, this measures the sweat gland activity. Okay, Matthew, I'm ready when you are.
I'm ready.
Feet flat on the floor, please. Try not to move. Are you sometimes known as doctor?
Yes.
Are you sure that I won't try to trick you on this test?
Yes.
Did you ever see Elizabeth touch her son for sexual purposes?
Yes, I did.
Answer is simple, yes.
Yes.
Since your marriage to her, have you ever seen Elizabeth molest her son?
Yes.
That'll conclude the test. We'll get these charts faxed off to San Francisco tonight. They'll get scored, and Dr. Phil will have the results in the morning.
There were no questions I was uncomfortable with.
Matt was easily agitated. He just really didn't want to be here, like a cat on a hot tin roof. He never relaxed. He never let down his guard.
I definitely feel relieved to have it.
Okay. Let's just get right to it. Elizabeth, the first question you were asked on the polygraph was, have you ever touched your son for sexual purposes? You said no, and the result is that there was no deception in that answer, that is a truthful answer. The second question is, have you ever touched your son for sexual purposes since your marriage to Matthew? You said no, and there was no deception in that answer either. Matt, you were asked question number one, did you ever see Elizabeth touch your son for sexual purposes? You said yes, and the result is that that was deceitful, that is not a truthful response. Second question, since your marriage to her, have you ever seen Elizabeth molest her son? You said yes, and the result is that that was a deceptive response, that was not truthful. You were asked if you've ever been diagnosed with a life-threatening condition. You said you would not answer because your lawyer told you it would hurt your custody case. I just want to ask you, this says that you were deceitful when you said that you had seen her do these things. What do you say?
It's absolutely false.
This is Jack Tremarco. Jack is a former FBI agent and polygraph
I know his
examiner.
credentials, sure.
And he was former head of the FBI polygraph unit. You've given almost 3,000 polygraphs, Jack, is that
Almost
right?
3,000, Doctor.
Almost 3,000 polygraphs. Do you have confidence in these results for both of these, or do you not?
I have absolute confidence in both results.
You know, there was a court hearing last week, and we're going to find out what happened there and why Elizabeth accuses Matt of sleeping in bed with Rhonda and Randy, which, in his defense, he says did not happen. It's not true. We'll be right back.
Matthew has Randy and Rhonda so convinced that he's dying of cancer. He's so scared that he doesn't know when his last night is. He'll sleep in between the husband and the wife, or he'll sleep with the wife in the same bed, but the husband in the next room.
My friends are helping me emotionally, spiritually. I need to be around people that I love. I can't do this alone. I cannot.
Here with Elizabeth and Matt. They just went to court for the first time to deal with the custody of their two precious young daughters. An argument ensues outside the courthouse, and Elizabeth confronts Matthew about Rhonda, who actually is present on the scene.
My husband and I have to appear for a child support hearing.
I want custody of my children because I feel that's a much safer environment being with me than with my wife.
The prayer I said this morning was, please God, protect me and my children from the evil that lurks in Matthew. Please bring me home to my children.
Not much happened. I have to pay her $600 and she will allow me no visitation.
When I walked outside the courthouse, I saw my husband with another woman. She is Rhonda, who he's living with.
You laid in the bed with her.
Right, that is not true.
That's not true.
Yes, he slept in the bed with me and my husband.
I've never slept in bed with anybody except my wife.
Stop lying.
You're not dying of cancer, Matthew. You're saying about me that my parents are in the Mexican mafia. I did horrible things to my son. I neglect our daughters. I took them out of a situation. You were drinking every day. You were popping pills, Matthew.
That's not true.
Matthew, I saw you.
I'm going to have so many witnesses that are saying my side, Elizabeth. My parents. Hey,
Yes, your
what they
parents.
saw.
Mentioning about your parents. You told this family that your parents are dying.
You know
your
what?
dad died.
I'm cutting tape because I'm done. Because you know what? That's
not-
something. You don't even know anything about my parents. They don't even
You know
talk to
what,
you.
Matthew?
They don't
You've
even
been married
talk
to
you.
me for 3 years, and your whole life has been a secret. Why don't you,
know
for
what?
once, to be honest with me?
Why
Tell
don't-
me.
You know what? I'm done. And if you want me off the show, keep doing what you're doing. Because you know what? I'm
You
not
know,
going to be
Matthew, no,
discredited
that's
without
just-
my
I'm not-
attorney.
I'm not
No more
discrediting
talking
you.
without my attorney. No more.
Well, Randy, you and Rhonda don't dispute that y'all all sleep in the same bed, right?
Only when he's very distraught, just to comfort him, but it's not anything that, nothing like what we're being accused of doing.
No. I don't know what you're being accused of or what you're not, but let me be very clear so nobody misunderstands my position. I don't think you two are sexually involved with him at all. That's not what I am suggesting at all. And let me be very clear to everybody watching. That is not my implication. That's not what I think is going on here. I don't think that's happening at all. I don't know what you think or what you don't think, but I can tell you, I don't think that that's what's going on here at all.
But isn't this about the girls? I have not heard one thing about the girls. You know, Dr. Phil, it's your dance. This is your show.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
You know-
Here's what I know. Here's what I know. And listen, you can get as indignant with me as you want to, my friend, but you've come in here and looked me in the eye and lied to me, and you are the father of these girls. You have a responsibility to put their interest ahead of your own. You sat there. I asked you 5 times, did you go to the University of Michigan Medical School?
Does
you
it
said,
matter where
yes,
I went?
I did. Yes, I did. Yes,
Where
I
did
did.
you go to school?
I said, you're lying to me. Have you told these people that you are worth millions of dollars and that you are going to make them beneficiaries of your estate
They
and
are
preyed upon their
beneficiaries
good
of my
wishes
estate, yeah.
and open their home to you? If that's what you're doing, then
Is that what it's
shame
about?
on you.
Not shame on me, shame on you.
Shame on you.
Is it about money? Not at all. Some people don't give a about money. Pardon my language.
And me?
You do.
No,
Some
Matthew.
people do.
Matthew, I lived out of my car with you.
For one day driving to
I've
Florida.
done the exact same thing with these people I've done.
You know what? I'm done with this show. Is that okay?
Okay, listen. If you want to turn tail and run, then turn tail and run. If the questions get hard, you want to run, there's the runway. Take off. Do what you want to do. This is about getting to the truth. This is about getting to the truth. You have been manipulating my staff, and you're not going to manipulate and bully me. If you don't want to be here, take a walk. If you want to deal with this, then deal with it. Look, I'm going to get to the truth here one way or another. I'm going to have some more questions for Matt when we come back.
What breaks my heart the most is that he's told me that he's always wanted a family, a wife, and children.
My wife, superficially, she's very nice, but she's very volatile. She will explode. My friends think my wife's mental state is very unstable. They think my wife's crazy.
Matthew comes across like a loving, caring person, but he really isn't. He's a bum and he'll always be a bum. He's a scam artist. He's a liar.
Matthew trying to take custody of the children, I think it's a joke. He can't even take care of himself.
He's an alcoholic. He's a pill popper. He is not going to take them away from here.
I don't know what you're thinking. He tells you he's got a $10 million house in Boca Raton. You go down there and he says, I forgot the keys, so you sleep in your car. I mean, come on. At some point, I mean, isn't a bell ringing somewhere? I think you need help. I think you need help. You have 2 little children that are depending on you as their biological father. You need to admit that you need help. And open yourself to that and get some help. I will offer to help you. I will try to arrange resources to help you.
I don't need that.
You don't need help. You think you're fine, you don't need help. Are you a liar?
Everybody lies.
Are you a con man?
No.
Matt, come on. You know, one lie covers up another and another and another. You did enroll at Wayne State in 1988 when you were 18 years old, but you didn't go to the medical school there.
That's not true.
While you and I were talking here, my researchers were talking to Wayne State. They said he did register here in 1988 in the undergraduate program, but he never registered in a medical school. Why would they say that, Matt? Jack, what do you want to say?
Dr. Phil, yesterday when I was putting the cardio cuff on Matt's arm, I asked him what the name of the artery was that was going to be involved, and he didn't know.
How many times do I forget things, Randy? I will drop every case against her. She can have full custody. I'll never see my children again. I'll do that for you. How about that?
You're not going to do anything for me.
That's what I'm going to do, Elizabeth.
That's between you two.
Whatever man you meet can adopt my children. They're no longer mine. How about that? That's what I give you.
Well, I don't think he means that, and
You know what?
I
I'll
hope
put
you
it in
don't.
writing.
I hope you don't. Well,
I'll put it in writing.
Talk to your lawyer about that, because I think. No, seriously, you don't want to. You have a responsibility to these girls.
No, I don't.
You have
Not
a
anymore.
Yes, you do.
Not anymore.
so you're
Laura and
completely
Avery
honest.
are dead to me. I want nothing to do with them anymore.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I'm done. I'm done. And you are too.
Okay. So did you just say your children are dead to you?
To me, I have nothing to do with them except pay child support.
We'll be right back.
up or no?
Yeah, they'll come another way. Matt, right back to you.
I'm done. I hate her. I want nothing to do with her. Enjoy my children because she'll never see me again.
Okay, Randy, Rhonda, all I can do is alert both of you to be very, very careful here. You're good people. You don't deserve to be taken advantage of. Okay? I have said that this is a year that I am committed to common sense making a comeback in America. And we have got to use common sense as we go through our lives. You know, you got to ask yourself, if something doesn't make sense, it's probably because it doesn't make sense. And you can't make sense out of nonsense. If somebody tells you they got a $10 million home in Boca Raton and you get down there and say, well, I forgot the keys, we're going to have to sleep in the car at a rest stop, a warning bell ought to go off in your head. Common sense should tell you this doesn't add up. Ask yourself, what in your life are you ignoring common sense about? Go to drphil.com. We'll talk about this more. Thank you for being here today.
And
he owes us $23,000.
they say their son's lies landed them in the poorhouse.
You swore you would have the money. You swore.
How to handle a liar.
Why are you continuing to give him money? Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6.
If it's happening now, we're going to deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A and roll A. Track it. Go, Dr. Phil.
Okay, here's a question. Raise your hand if you've never told a lie in your life. Yeah, that's one right there. Okay, so if that's true, everybody in the audience will have no problem relating to the guest on today's show. Parents and siblings are here today to face a loved one and say, you are a liar and we are sick of it, okay? Now, Annie wrote to me saying that her younger sister lies so much that no one in the family can believe a word she says. They claim she's lied about doing drugs, pregnancy, parental abuse, her boyfriend, and even her job stripping. Take a look.
Abby can lie about little things or a big thing. She's a really good liar. I believe the things she says until I find out from other people she is actually lying.
I honestly don't know why my sister thinks I'm lying. I tell my sister everything.
Abby started lying in grade school. She's always got in trouble for lying quite a bit growing up.
When Abby lies, you don't know it. And I guess that's why I've got to the point where whatever she says, I just take it with a grain of salt.
Abby would always give excuses of what job she was doing. I found out from other people she was stripping. She did finally admit to stripping after I confronted her about it.
I was caught red-handed.
My family wasn't too happy when they found out. They kind of disowned me.
I think Abby being a stripper is very disgusting and it's degrading, and I'm not very proud of her. She wasn't brought up that way. She was brought up in a Christian home. We don't associate with her much anymore.
I don't think there's anything wrong with dancing other than the fact that you're naked. The only thing I may have lied about is telling them that I quit dancing. That's just because I know how they don't like it.
Recently, Abby was caught in a lie saying she wasn't taking drugs, but later we found out she was taking marijuana.
There's been times when her eyes are glassy and she sniffs a lot.
At my cousin's wedding, my nose was red from blowing it all day long.
I've confronted her at the time about doing the drugs and she wouldn't admit to it.
I do not do any drugs at all.
I am concerned about Abby doing drugs because I know one instance where she didn't call the cops because she had illegal prescriptions in her purse.
It's very important that my family knows that I'm not doing drugs. I'm not a druggie.
Abby used to cause a lot of stress on the whole family.
I want my family to know I would never lie to them. I want to be honest with them, but with them judging me all the time, it's hard to do.
Dr. Phil, please help my sister to stop lying and start telling the truth.
Okay, well, somebody's not shooting straight up, and you just said, I would never lie to my family. Are you going to lie to me?
No.
Okay. Do you think you have a lying problem?
No.
You just think that these three people have just made this up and in some way conspired to say these things about you? And if so, why would they do that?
I've lied to him a few times, but I'm not a liar.
Why would they do this? Why would these three people who presumably love you get together and do what they're doing now? They've reached out for help. You're on national television. They're frustrated. They're wringing their hands. They're just beside themselves about this. Why would they make this up? What's in it for them?
I feel like they're trying to control my life.
Is your sister a liar?
Yes, she is.
So you're not making this up?
No.
Why do you say she's a liar?
From when we were growing up to when she was in high school to recently, she has lied about things. Usually I don't find out from her that she's lying. I hear from other people, and then I confront her about it, and she still denies it. And then sometimes she may admit to it maybe 3 or 4 months down the road.
They say that you have lied about stripping for a living. Are you a stripper?
Yes.
Have you lied to your family about that?
I have told them at times that I quit dancing, and I was still dancing, but that's just because I know they don't like it, and, you know, I don't want...
Well, that's why you lied. It isn't whether you lied or not, but
Right.
you did lie about that.
Right.
Are you judgmental of her doing that?
Oh, I don't like it at all. And she
Yeah.
knows that.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. Have you lied about your father's abuse?
No.
What have you said about that?
He's beat me with the yardstick to where it broke into pieces. He's choked me, made me pee my pants before because he's held me down.
Has he strangled you?
Yes.
Is that true?
No. The situation that she's talking about, one time she was in the 17 years, and that's probably the point where you're losing the ability to have control over your children. And she had an attitude that was very, very bad, always wanting to blame other people for her problems. And I do remember putting her down on the couch.
He's on the bed.
Okay.
In
I don't
Gemma's
know.
house.
Okay, well, she remembers it. But as far as strangling her, no, that would be true.
All right, well, let's just take a look at this situation and see what's going on here.
I've always been afraid of my dad. My dad used to be a little abusive with me.
My husband would spank them or would ground them as they got older. That's pretty much all that he would do.
He's choked me, thrown me around. He's broken yardsticks over me.
I can't remember what she did, but he spanked her with the yardstick, and it broke in two.
He told me next time I got in trouble, he was using a stick with nails sticking out of it.
I've heard a lot of stories that I beat her and stuff like that. I know that sometime in the future that she'll come around and apologize for that.
My dad was not violent towards my sister. I believe my sister said my father was abusive to get attention.
I know he's thrown my sister up against the wall. She has told me about that.
My father did not ever push me against a wall. When Abby was in high school, she had told the school that my dad was abusing her.
I didn't go to my counselor. The teachers and students reported me there. They saw bruises around my neck.
Nothing happened in the situation because there was no proof. She had no marks or anything.
I've even had people come up to me now and say, I'm really sorry that I believed some of the things that Abby said about you.
My dad said that he could discipline me however he wanted and that I could call whoever I wanted and they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't take me out of the home because that was his way of disciplining me.
Okay. Where's the truth here? You two are talking during the tape piece and you're shaking your head. Why?
Because she says that I told her my dad used to be abusive towards me, and he never was. I mean, I think I would remember something like that.
Did you say that? Did you tell her that he was abusive?
No,
Okay.
I remember the exact time she told me we were at the gas station, or I was at the gas station, and I had called her, and I was talking to her about, that was right after I'd seen the counselor at my school for the marks around my neck from my dad. And she had told me, that's when she told me that Dad had thrown her up against the wall before. I wouldn't lie about something like that.
Have you lied about drugs?
Yeah.
Are you lying about them now? Are you using drugs now?
I don't use them all the time. So
you're clean and sober as you sit here right now?
Yeah.
You're not woofing about that, you're telling the truth?
Right.
Will you take a drug test to prove it?
Oh, I might have stuff in me because I have smoked, but I'm saying right now I'm sober.
Will you take a drug test to prove it?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I said when I started about being factual here. I mean, I like, if somebody just steps up and says, no, I'm clean and sober, then let's find out.
No, I'm saying I'm going to have marijuana in my system.
What else?
As of right now, I'm sober.
What else?
Nothing else. Drug test me.
Okay, I will. Let's do it. I do want to know. It's a two-part test. I have one part right here. You want to know, don't you?
Sure do.
You're going to do a swab?
So swab, saliva. We're going to let it sit for about 3 minutes.
Okay.
We'll get you started.
And then there's also a urine test that goes with this?
Yes, we'll take her to the back. Handle that.
All right. We're going to get the results of this drug test when we come back. We're going to find out whether this is a lie or whether it's a partial truth, or maybe she's telling the truth and they need to back off. We'll be right back.
I want Abby to quit stripping. I'm very worried about my daughter.
I did want to quit because I didn't want them knowing that's what I was doing, but it's my life. I make good money, and something I'm going to do for right now.
Well, Abby's family say they're here to stop all of her lies. Her sister Annie says that she can't even have a normal conversation with Abby because she can't keep her story straight. Her parents are here and also say that Abby has used drugs before, and Abby absolutely denies that she is currently using drugs. As we went to break, Abby agreed to a drug test so we could see where the truth is. I like facts when I'm trying to find out who's telling the truth and who's not. She's backstage, so she's going to join us in a few minutes after she completes another element of the test. Do you have a problem with what she's doing?
I definitely do. In fact, the problem that I have is where she said that I choked her. Another circumstance is when she was in high school, and I can't tell you what the situation was, but she was lying, and I did take a yardstick and break over her rear end. If I could stop her from doing the things that she is doing now that is destructive to her life, I would have spanked her every day and broke that all over her butt if it would have kept her from being in the destructive lifestyle she is today.
So you've spanked your daughter?
Yes.
But you have not abused her, you've not choked her, you've not attacked her?
I know I held her down. I couldn't remember if it was on the couch or on the bed. But, you know, as far as spanking, you know, I have spanked my kids when they were young, but I don't ever remember spanking them once they get over 7 or 8, because as a parent, if you have not got them under control at that point, there's no use spanking a 14-year-old girl or boy.
Do you have a problem with her lying?
Yeah,
In what area?
little things. I mean, we just got to the point where we wouldn't even believe her anymore because we could never believe what she said.
Well, I'm wondering if you guys are being fair with her or if you're picking on her. She says that she's been beaten with a yardstick and strangled by you. You say, well, yeah, I did hit her with a yardstick and I held her down. I don't know if it's bed or the couch or if she strangled or, you know, how I held her down. She's clearly lied by omission about stripping. I guess she's not proud of it. And she knows you guys judge that, so she doesn't want to tell you about that, which isn't honest. That's true. Has she lied about, she hasn't lied about being in school, she's lied about the reasons that she's not in school.
Yeah, the reason why she quit. Well, she didn't quit, she got expelled, basically.
All right. Okay, you can join us again, Abby. We'll have the results here in just a few minutes, and we can clear that aspect up of what's going on here. Okay, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and find out whether she's telling the truth drug-wise, and maybe that'll be a place to start building on. We'll be right back. What if you found out that your own child was molesting other children?
A boy in trouble.
How did this boy know so much about sex at such a young age?
A mother's suspicion.
I knew deep inside me that he had been molested. I suspect my father.
Disturbing allegations.
Have you molested Parker?
No, I haven't.
But a dirty family secret.
Did you inappropriately touch your daughter when she was 2 weeks old?
Yes, I did.
Brings up a painful past.
I don't want to be touched. Nobody touched me.
Could Grandpa
I feel like I'm going to throw up.
be doing it again?
There comes a time when you just have to tell the truth.
Lie detector, please. Bring it on.
The search for answers.
Did you ever touch your grandson for sexual purposes?
No.
Is just the beginning.
Get him off the stage.
In a shocking 2-day investigation.
That answer was found to be?
Coming in 1 week.
I'm talking to a family trying to get to the truth about their youngest daughter. They all claim Abby is a chronic liar. I have a hard time figuring out what it is she's lying about. Abby says her family disowned her when she turned to stripping for money, but she has a lot to say about feeling not wanted most of her life. Take a look.
I don't remember much of my childhood. I felt like my whole family didn't love me. I've never felt like I was a part of the family. I was the child they never wanted. I felt like I was a mistake. My brother and sister always got a lot more love than I did. My mom would feel weird if I tried to give her a hug, but my brother would give her hugs all the time. I feel like they don't want me.
Tell me how you feel watching that.
It hurts. I just want my parents to love me. That's all I want. And to stop dishing me.
What do you think about what she's saying?
I don't know why she feels that way. I don't know that I've done anything different to her than I have the other two. I don't understand it.
Abby has always been hard-headed and stubborn, so I'm not saying she did not maybe get grounded more or maybe have some types of punishment, and she could maybe possibly see that as not, but that's just difference in personalities, and I have always told her that she is stubborn, has a pride problem, but I've always told her that is not necessarily a bad trait.
I just find it odd that we watch that tape piece, she sits here and says the things she said, and neither one of you have addressed one syllable to her. You haven't looked at her, you haven't said anything to her, you haven't addressed her, you haven't, I mean, you talk about her like she isn't here. I'm just my observation. That just seems really cold to me.
Well, I guess you're running the show, so I'm looking at you because you're the ones asking the questions.
Do we have the drug results? Okay, so what do we find out here?
Well, we took the saliva test and then we took the urine test. The saliva test was inconclusive. So we went with the urine test and it's 98.9% accurate, so it's pretty accurate. And we found out that she was clear of everything, but she did have marijuana use in her system.
A little bit or a lot?
It looks like she's used a lot in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
The level was pretty high.
It's been really stressful these last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You want me to do this,
what is this?
It's the urine test.
No? No, you can have it. Thank you very much. Why are you smoking so much dope?
I'm stressed all the time, and it's the only thing that relaxes me.
Because your sister seems really credible to me, and she says that she thinks you're kind of not shooting her straight.
I don't feel like she's my sister. I don't feel like she's even a close friend. Well, I can't talk to you about my job because I'm not judgmental of you. I am not. Mom and Dad maybe because you're their daughter, but I am not. And do you think I don't tell you more things than I do them?
Do you think, what did you ask her?
I tell her more things than I tell my parents. I'm closer to her than I am my parents.
Do you guys want a closer relationship with her?
I do. I love Abby.
Do you?
I love Abby very much. We've always wanted a closer relationship. We can never get close to her because of all the things she always did.
I think you're less than forthcoming. I think you do it because you feel the sting of judgment, and it's just easier to say what they might want to hear and get out of the situation. I think you probably lie by omission. I think you kind of tell half-truths. I think you kind of avoid involvement in the situation, and that creates barriers between everybody. I'm not sure that I have trouble understanding why you do that, because I think you feel coldness and judgment from this side over here, and that's a problem. And
Well, you're not right in that either.
Well, but that's what she feels, is what I'm telling you.
And
That's
if
what
she feels it, then it's a concern.
But that's the point. There is no reality, only perception. And if that's her perception,
right,
then you've got to hear that. You can be right or you can be happy.
You know, the biggest fear that I have, lying is bad, but it's to get a phone call in the middle of the night saying, Abby's dead.
There's a gap here. Your daughter has told us, and correct me if I'm misstating this, you don't want to strip. It is hard for you to go there every day. You don't want to do it. They just kind of put you in the car, you say, and you go up there and you do what you have to do, and it's just like grit your teeth and get through it because it's what you think you have to do to live, to get by.
She wouldn't have to do that if she didn't have to support her boyfriend and herself. She could very well live on her own and have a normal job and not have to do what she's doing to make as much money as she
When I
needs
met
to, because
him,
she has to support
I
two
was
of
making
you.
so much money. He didn't have to work. I didn't want him to work. We went out and we did things all the time.
You know what everybody's reacting to is that you're selling yourself way short. You're selling yourself way short. That When you say, I don't want him working, I was making a lot of money, you buy him things, you support him, you take care of him, and he lets you. And that's not good, and that's not healthy. And there is a problem with self-worth there. There's a problem with self-esteem there. The fact that you're smoking dope probably daily, true?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. That's not good. You're medicating yourself for stress with that instead of dealing with it. And what I'm going to offer to do is set up for this family to do some very important counseling to take down the barriers, take down the fear of judgment, take down the perceptions, the misperceptions, and see if we can bring everybody together and work out a plan. All right? All right, next we're going to talk to parents who say their sons' lies have them near bankruptcy. We'll be right back.
We don't believe anything John says. He told us it was raining outside. We would have to go and look. He owes us over $23,000. All his bills have somehow ended up in our name.
I wouldn't trust him.
Today we're talking about people that just don't seem to be able to get the facts right, to tell the story straight, to put it out there the way it really is. My next guest says her 28-year-old son, John, has been lying to her face for 10 years. Now, Mom says he lied about grades, college, jobs, money, and more money. Because of his lies, this family is facing financial ruin. Take a look.
My 28-year-old son, John, is a chronic liar. John will look me straight in the eye and lie. John has been a liar since he was in high school.
John's always trying to impress people.
We've sent John for professional help, and they did tests on him. The conclusion was that he would be a good actor or a lawyer. I don't know if he's a professional con artist. He worked for my brother in the plumbing business. He ended up getting fired because of all his lies.
John says he has a secretary at work. Don't believe that. I just try to beef myself up a little bit.
He lies about the girls he dates. His house was foreclosed on. He caused Philip's truck to almost be repossessed. Just all these lies. He took out that $7,000 that we didn't know about. John told us he had enrolled in college at night. Another lie. We don't believe anything John says, but he told us it was raining outside. We would have to go and look.
I don't want him to not trust me. I wouldn't trust me. I lie about big things, mainly money.
We have reached a financial crisis. All his bills have somehow ended up in our name.
I borrowed $2,000 from my parents, and I haven't paid them back yet. American Express, $2,000, $500 or $600 in overdraft fees. Power bill, $118. Another loan, $2,000 in collection right now.
I am an emotional wreck. People are calling us and threatening us for the money, and we literally do not have it to give.
I keep getting myself deeper and deeper in the hole, and they bail me out.
He owes us over $23,000. There's no way he can pay us back. We're considering bankruptcy.
As far as retirement not being an option for my parents, I'd blame John for that. It pisses me off. He's a grown man.
I do not understand where this money's going. We have questioned him about drugs. Maybe there's a baby.
I have seen pictures of a kid. He claims it was a friend's kid.
John's behavior does make me feel like I failed as a mom.
I have a fear that he's going to lie to the wrong person sometimes. Somebody's going to take it out on him.
I'm at my wit's end. We should have him arrested.
Are you a liar?
Yeah.
You said he's lied about grades, that paying off school loan, said that was done, not done. The house has been foreclosed. You lied about that and hid that. You know, one of the things that I've always wondered is, don't you realize that at some point it's going to hit the wall? I mean, you can, like, you know, you can be in like the 6th grade and you can tell your parents, oh, I'm making all A's. Can I go out and play? Sure, go on. Good job on the grades. The report card's coming. I mean, it's eventually going to get there. I mean, when the house is gone, it's like they come over to see you. It's gone. You know, it's eventually, I mean, don't you get that it's eventually going to, that it's going to hit the wall?
Yeah, I Yes, sir.
Well, if he's a liar, he does it quick.
He does.
I guess he says yes when it ought to be no and no when it ought to be yes. There are lies that they don't know about yet, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
We're going to find out what those are when we come back. Now, we've talked about the lies that John has been caught in, but I think it's time for John to come clean about some more lies.
Mom and Dad have lied about the $2,000 fine for the grill. I found out that I was going to be evicted if I didn't come up with the money. They've been begging me to go see a therapist, basically just to keep them happy. I told them I was, but I don't see a therapist. I've lied about how much money I've made in the past. I've been sending money to my girlfriend, Western Union, to help her with her bills.
Listen, y'all seem like really nice people. Why are you continuing to give him money? I mean, it's really, Dad. I mean, come on. You know, I think old sayings get to be old sayings because they're profound. You know, a stitch in time saves. You know, these old sayings stick around because they have some meaning to them. And necessity is the mother of invention is a pretty good old saying. This works for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's what parents always say. Even when they have little kids, they say, I don't know why they lie because they get in trouble when they do. That's not right. They get in trouble when you catch them. But if you get away with it 9 out of 10 times, 8, 7 out of 10 times you get away with it, you're thinking, that's what I'm best at. I'm hitting 700 here, and there's not any other thing I do that's well. He lies, and y'all cover him. The only way that he's putting you at the brink of bankruptcy is if you continue to open your wallet and give him money. Right? Go ahead, Dan.
Dr. Phil, so like when the house was purchased, we were behind that idea. He was talking that a house payment would be tax deductible and it would equal to what he's paying out in an apartment rent.
Right.
So we were behind that. We supported him on that.
Based on his excellent performance leading up to that.
Well, no. There was some actions that were making us think that he was level-headed and he's getting his life straight.
Right. I mean, in retrospect, you maybe weren't grading that paper quite as hard.
I know. You're gonna beat us up on this.
No, I'm not. I'm just going to tell you to quit. You just need to quit. I mean, if the boy's going to go broke, let him go broke. I mean, necessity is the mother of invention. All right. But John doesn't know it, but his brother Brian wants him to come clean too and finally stop all the lying. The brother apparently knows some of the truth, and John was not comfortable with us even talking to his brother. But I don't care. He's here anyway. So he's going to join us now. Brian, how you doing?
Good.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
So what do you have to say?
Well, first of all, I think it's crap, everything. I've loaned him money before, and I've never gotten it back. And the fact that he would put them in this situation is crap. I mean, that's about as low as you can get.
You want it to stop?
I want them to cut him off. I want him to be a man and take care of his own problems.
What do you say?
He's right. I agree with him 100%.
I mean,
I'm a horrible person, okay? I admit it. I knew you were going to come on TV and bash me. I knew that.
I'm not bashing you.
I mean, everybody's against me. I already knew that. All right, I'm expected to come on here and do that. So I'm just going to agree with you. I am
That's
a horrible
that's
person.
what we're afraid of, Dr. Phil. He's just going to say what you want to hear.
Yeah, but the problem is you don't know what I want to hear. You said, okay, so you think I'm a horrible person. That's the problem. I know a lot about you. You're not a horrible person. You're just making horrible choices. If you really will just step up and be the person that you are inside and can be, then you don't have to listen to all of this. Do you expect people that you lie to and deceive to tell you it's okay?
No.
You don't expect that. Of course you don't. And you don't like this about yourself any better than anybody else does. True?
True.
I mean, because here's the thing. When people lie and they embellish, it's because they think their life is so boring, so inadequate, so inferior that it's just not good enough. So you have to fantasize and embellish in order to cope with your life. You're a smart guy, you're healthy, you're young. There's any number of things that you can do that you can truly be proud of. And that's all you guys want, right, is for him to stand up, be proud of who he is, and do what he needs to do.
And just be truthful.
So what does it take to do what I'm saying? What's it take to actually stop one way of living and go another direction? I'm going to put some verbs in those sentences when we come back.
We hate to blame John.
We considered having John arrested for fraud, but we didn't think that we needed to do anything that drastic.
I can't just cut John off. I'm a mother. I love him no matter what he does.
After 10 years of chronic lying, John is here frustrated, clearly thinks that this is just a time to wail on him. He owes his parents about $25,000. Now they're in danger of bankruptcy. He doesn't feel good about that. His brother Brian is angry that his parents can't even retire, won't cut him off, won't say no, and he won't step up and stand up. So at this point, I mean, you got to feel like this is a donkey barbecue and you're furnishing the ass, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
that's...
Yeah. I mean, I deserve it, so I mean...
Yeah, but the point is, what are you going to do about it?
It's my fault, but I mean...
When you get paid weekly, monthly, whatever, where's that money go? That's what I want to know.
I send a lot of it to New York to Jody.
You swore to us this past time when you got that $2,000 fixing to be evicted, you swore to me, you looked your daddy in the face and told him that you would have the money to us by the end of the week. You were getting it from your income tax and it was on the way. You didn't even go by H&R Block, did you?
Yeah, I did.
You swore.
Did you get the money?
No.
Do you have it coming?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, look, here's
What about the retirement money? You said that you were taking, he says he's taking $25,000 out of retirement, just going to cash it in and pay us off. You don't even see the girl. Why do you want to support her?
Tell the truth about that. Why do you feel the need to send her money when your family
When we're suffering.
is suffering for money that you owe them? Does she have some expectations? She wants you to do some things for her? She wants you to send her some money?
Yeah.
Does she not work?
No.
All right, so
I thought she had a couple of degrees.
the point is you're making a choice. You're making a choice. And what you guys need to recognize is he has been a top priority with you to the point of self-sacrifice, sacrificing your ability to retire, sacrificing your ability to have any kind of a cushion. You know, you can stay up all night worrying about what's going to happen with him, and he's home sleeping like a baby. Yeah. This can be a key turning point for you. There's a point at which you say, I'm broke. I got no money. I can't pay you. Well, you don't have to run from creditors. Pick up the phone and say, I'm broke. Bye. I mean, you can, there's actually a tremendous degree of freedom in telling the truth. You can unburden yourself unbelievably once you do that. And what I've got to say to you guys is, listen, protect yourselves here. Come on. and realize that indulging a child is not a gift. It is sabotage. You can love him, you don't have to enable him. That's two different things. Loving him and empowering him to victimize you are two different things, and it is not a gift. It is not mean or cruel to protect yourselves and don't have, look, I think good fences make good neighbors, and I don't believe in doing business with family. It just doesn't seem to work out right. Doing business with family, that doesn't seem to work out most of the time. So what you got to do is just not do business with him, and then you're not financially wounded. If he gets evicted, he gets evicted. He's got a job. Are you through doing business with him?
You better believe it.
I mean, as of today, right now. And then
everything's in our name that he owes, and that's why they're coming after us.
Then you know what? Then you need to just let them come and get it. You need to seize it. You need to sell it. You need to do whatever.
There's nothing there to sell.
I can't change what has happened, but I can keep you from doing it in the future if you hear me. What I can change is what you do tomorrow, and you'll be free by that, because if you know they're not going to give you any money, then you're not victimizing them, right? No pressure. You're not going to give them any money. You're not going to give me any money. Cut that off.
He's been cut off with me. I'm
well,
not going to sit here
That's
and
an
let
example.
people think I've been giving them money, because I don't.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying don't.
I'm not.
Continue not giving him money.
I will.
We'll be right back. One thing I know for sure is if somebody is changing reality, they're revisionist historians, it's because they're not happy with what really is. And so you got to ask yourself why that's the case. And, you know, you've been to therapists before to try to help you kind of get your life heading in the right direction, but you really went just to kind of get them off your back, right? And you just told the therapist what they wanted to hear? Yeah. Would you really like some help totally separate from them? Forget them, they're in no part of this, just you, in terms of a life coach and some financial planning and some personal work. Yeah. If you had that available to you, would you be interested in doing it?
Yes, sir.
Because I'll make that arrangement for you, and I will offer that to you, and if you find that it's helpful, then do it, and if you don't, then don't. It's okay, and you don't need to say you will if you won't or whatever, but I would like to offer you that help because I really think you can turn this around, John. I believe that. I really do. And so I'll make those arrangements for you. We'll work with you on that and put it together. And y'all stay out of it. It's got nothing to do with any of y'all. You don't have to tell them what you talk about, what you do, or how you do it. This is just you. Okay? Do you wonder if your friend or family member is lying to you? Go to drphil.com. I'm going to tell you some tips on how to spot a liar. It's really easier than you might think, and we'll see if it helps you. Thanks for being here. So long.
That is what I told her.
I just found out about that.
Kissing some woman and chatting her up are two dramatically different things. Set your DVR, a show all couples must watch.
I'm here for my marriage.
We're going to take a totally unique approach to what we're doing today.
Stand by, Dr. Phil. Some say it's a hard life, but it's hard for us all. Always hold on. In 10, always be strong. Reach out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stand by, camera 6. Go, Dr. Phil.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Everybody have a seat. And at home, if you just tuned in, let me give you a heads-up alert. I'm dealing with a marriage today. Nothing startling about that. It's a marriage that, in my opinion, is in big trouble. I mean, huge, big trouble. We're going to take a totally unique, high-risk, high-reward approach to what we're doing today. Because short of that, this marriage is done when they leave here today. Now, at the risk of sounding rational, even logical, I intend to approach this with some common sense. How strange is that? And call for total unvarnished truth and honesty between husband and wife. Well, their names are Brian and Deanne, so let me just ask them to come on out. Okay, guys, welcome. So, Deanne, tell me, why did you want to be here today?
I'm torn between my head and my heart as to what the best step for me would be next, for not only for myself, but for my family as well.
But do you really want answers?
Yes.
Tell me why you wanted to be here. Or did you, or are you just here because you figure it's a good faith effort because she wanted to be here, so you're here under duress?
No, not at all. I'm here for my marriage.
Because this is in the ditch, right? You've actually filed for divorce and you've had him sign the papers.
Yes.
You just haven't turned them back into the courthouse yet. That's how far this has gone.
Correct.
The question is, are you willing to, no kidding, bottom line, be honest here today with me and with each other?
Very much so.
Yes.
Now think about what you just said. Because I have a life law. Life law number 4 says you cannot change what you don't acknowledge. Now, if you two are a couple of right fighters and you're here to just kind of cover your butt and try to skate through some stuff, you might get through today, but come on, I mean, it won't be 3 weeks. You won't get home before it's in the ditch again. Would you like me to start with you?
Yes.
Please do.
Okay.
That's probably the first truthful answer that's made sense to me.
Trust in a marriage is everything. It's the foundation. If you don't have it, you don't have anything. I want nothing more than to have my wife and family back. I can make it right. That I'm a better person. You know, I am that same guy that she fell in love with 15 years ago.
Number 1, did you have an affair during your engagement?
No.
Okay, so are you telling me that that is not true?
That is correct.
So you're denying that?
It did not happen.
Okay, you don't believe that, do you?
No.
Okay, let's take a look at what your wife had to say about this.
After that first affair, when he, went off when we were engaged, it took me a long time once we got back together to rebuild that trust.
Okay, so she's wrong.
I did not leave her for another woman. I was not with this other woman at the time. You know, there was a coworker that I was with, but it wasn't in that sense. It wasn't a sexual relationship or anything like that.
Did you do anything with that woman that you wouldn't have done if she had been standing right there?
No, I did not do anything with that woman, regardless if she was here or not.
Okay, so do you think you're being lied to on the very first point?
Yes.
Then what's the point? I mean, aren't we done?
Anytime something comes up, it always, she goes back to, well, you did this 14 years ago, you did this 15 years ago.
Do I not have a right to do that when it comes back in your face again? I'm torn. I'm like this little ping pong ball. I keep going back and forth. Like, I love him and I'm in love with him, but it's so hard to believe.
I'll tell you what, let's go down the list. All right, so you deny this one.
That's correct.
Okay, so we'll mark that as denied. All right. She says that you had a second affair close to the time that your son was born.
Actually, the second affair where he was calling that one girl, it was right after I had Everett. He met her in November, and I'm not finding out this phone call until July. So I don't know how long it was going on for.
Yes, I did.
All right, so you admit that. Has he admitted that to you before?
No.
All right, but you admit it now.
Yes. It was not a sexual affair. It wasn't anything. I talked with this woman, you know, and most of the talks that we had were about the situation that we were in. And I had told her about that. You know, I had kissed this woman. And
I just found out about that, though.
and that is what I told her. That is what I
Everett's
told her.
9 now, and
Well,
this
kissing
happened.
some woman and chatting her up about your marriage are two dramatically different things. I chat with a lot of women during the day, but don't kiss them. I mean, come on, listen, I'm just trying to be honest with you.
And I
You
am
probably think I'm being hard on you, but if it's not on the table, it's gonna bite you later because she doesn't trust you. Okay, next, she said that just recently you had a 3-month affair.
It wasn't 3 months. I had an affair. This is why I'm where I'm at.
4, 2, 1?
It was roughly 6 weeks.
Okay, 6 weeks. Let's hear what your wife had to say about this.
I finally asked him, well, did you sleep with her? And, you know, he put his head down and, you know, said, yeah. I just got in my closet and curled up in the fetal position and just cried. It's so hard to believe that, you know, that's really what he wants.
So you're saying you had a 6-week affair?
That is correct.
He said he met her in October,
and
and then it ended in
Right in November.
Okay, seriously, does it really matter?
No, it doesn't.
December. It ended in December.
Does it really matter to you
No.
if it's 6 weeks or
No,
12 weeks?
It doesn't.
Did you start sending your cell phone bill to work?
I did at the end.
Okay, so you admit that?
That is correct.
Does that bother you that he's hiding his cell phone bill? He started redirecting his cell phone bill?
Yeah, well, that was my big red flag. It just dawned on me one day that the phone bill's not coming here anymore. And I thought, I wonder why. Why, you know, where's it going? So I called and they said, well, we have it going to, you know, this address. So it was just eating me up.
You understand why that's a problem for her? Because people who have nothing to hide nothing, right?
That is correct.
So you started hiding that bill?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you hiding that bill? What's she going to see if she looks at it?
Probably the phone numbers, the times that I called, you know, just the phone numbers.
So there's something there you didn't want you to see. So you're right to be concerned about that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remove your wedding ring when you go out?
Not when I go out. I don't wear it for what I do in work. But I don't take it off to go out at night or to go golfing. Well, when I golf, I take it off, but I don't wear it at work.
Well, let's hear what was said about this.
He'd pull off his wedding ring, and a lot of times he just didn't wear it. He just never wore his wedding ring. It used to bother me.
Okay, so that's just not true. You don't take your ring off when you go out with your buddies?
No, not at all.
You don't? Why do you think he does?
Sometimes when we go out, he wouldn't put it on. Sometimes he would. You know, it just depended. But that particular night, she actually saw him take it off and put it in his pocket.
Who saw that?
My daughter.
I don't wear my wedding ring. I don't wear my wedding ring because of the work that I do.
What do you do?
Automotive repair.
And when you go out socially, do you like fix people's cars or something?
No, not at all.
So you could wear it when you go out socially?
That is correct.
But you don't?
No, I don't.
You don't wear it socially? Is that bothersome to you?
Very much. And he knew it. Because to me, that's the way that you honor your wife, is to wear your wedding ring, so that when you're in situations when there's other people around, that, you know, they don't assume that you're not married.
All right, well, so you deny that you do that on a regular basis. Look, the list goes on, and trust me, I've got a list for you as well.
Oh,
We're going to get to it next. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back. We're trying to get it on the table.
When we got back together, we decided to go for marriage and family counseling. So we went together and went separate as well. The last time I went to see her, I asked her, what do you think? You know, would you marry him? You know, if you were me, would you marry him? And she said,
All right, we're back with Deanna and Brian, and we're talking about the broken trust in their marriage. And this is a marriage that's in trouble. In fact, divorce has been filed. It's been signed by Brian. Deanna has the papers. She's debating whether to turn them in or not. And what I'm saying is, I don't want to talk to people with half the story. I don't want to talk to people and deal with half the truth, half the problems, and have people run an agenda that they're just going to go home and be right back where they started. So I'm trying to get it all out on the table here. What I'm doing is going through a list with you of the things that you have said are broken trust for you, things that cause you not to be able to feel comfortable about him, and therefore you wouldn't feel good about him coming home. But yet you're trying to find a way that you can feel okay about getting back together, right?
Yes.
That would be your dream. That would be your hope, that you could live in harmony and honesty and openness. So I'm trying to get everything on the table so there's no stone left unturned. There's no complaints you have that you haven't vetted and put out there. And you understand why we're doing that, right? Yes. The next thing on the list is that you inappropriately touched Stephanie's friend. True or false, or drinking?
I was drinking. That's what I was told the next morning. You know, I was laying on the floor and she was on the couch. I don't know the inappropriate, I don't know, I think I touched her hand.
Basically, he was coming on to her, and that made her uncomfortable, so she pretended she was sleeping.
So do we take that as a denial or as an admission? It did happen or it didn't happen?
I would say probably an admission that it did happen.
Okay, so it did happen. Are you still calling and texting women?
No.
After I found out about the affair with the other girl, he still kept calling her and talking to her. After he tells me that he's not talking to her anymore, phone call comes in and it's her. The last time I checked was last month, and I told him I was never going to look again because I had seen what I needed to see again, in my face. And that was right before he had gone into the center for treatment. That 2 nights before he went in, there was calls to that same person, all hours, for lengthy conversations. I was trying to get a hold of her, apparently.
All right, well, let's just go through these and get them up there. There are family members that say that you have pushed Deanna to sell the homes, her assets, to buy a business for you.
He would break her down to where she did sell, because I'd ask her, I said, why did you do that? Why did you do? She says, I just got so tired of Brian just nagging at me. He just couldn't handle that she had that and he didn't provide it for her.
When we first met, I basically had everything. He was just out of college, didn't have as much things that he had worked for. I had worked hard my whole life for what I had. And when he sort of stepped into my world, because I already had 2 children, I had my career, it was easier that way. And when I just feel like he never wanted to be a part of all those things, and wanted to just get rid of them. So for example, when things went wrong with the rental house, he wouldn't really go down and fix it. I couldn't get him to do those kind of things.
All right, do you want her to be a stay-at-home wife?
He would always say, all I want is her to be a stay-at-home mom, and I was saying, she's not that type. That's what my husband wanted from me, and I did it. But Deanne was a career-type person.
I'd rather, if she's going to be at home, be a mom. That's always been a big concern of mine. I have no problem with her being at home, none whatsoever.
Okay, but that's what you want, and you want her to do everything that goes along with that.
Very much so.
Okay. How about drinking and driving?
I mean, he would drink doubles and triples, and when he's all Mr. Happy and Mr. just kind of loud and obnoxious, really, and then he'd get behind the wheel. That was my big concern always, was just him driving, because he wouldn't know when to stop, and he was always, no, I can drive.
But you're now sober for 52 days?
That is actually 54, I'm sorry.
So you're not drinking and driving now, but you have in the past?
I have.
Okay. How about casino gambling?
Yes.
To the tune of 20 grand?
26.
$26,000.
I didn't even know it was that much, so.
Do you believe that you have been an inappropriate model for your son?
Very much.
You concerned about that?
Very much.
Okay, take a look over your shoulder at the list. Deanna, is that somebody you want to be married to?
No.
He denies the affair during engagement. He denies that he takes his ring off when he goes out, but you don't believe that, do you?
No.
Okay. and calling and texting women up until he went into rehab, you were doing that inappropriately, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's really an admission, I suppose. There's two sides to this story. We're going to take a look at Deanna's list when we come back. All right, we're talking about broken trust in a family that is being torn apart by lies and betrayal. Now, Deanna is considering divorce even though they do have young children. I've always said that until you can look your children in the eye and say, I did everything I could to save the marriage, only then have you earned the right to quit. So what I'm wanting to do today is get everything on the table so these two know if the person is still lying, and if they're telling the truth, if it's something that is a drop-dead deal breaker. Now, we've just been through Brian's list, and Deanna says, when I look at that list together, it's not somebody that I want to be married to. But there are two sides to this, and so I want to ask you some questions to see what you are willing to be honest about and what you're not. Now, you've been married how long?
12 years.
Okay, now you believe that Brian cheated while you were engaged, and you married him anyway?
Yes. I loved him. I was in love with him.
You married Brian against your counselor's advice. You even said, I'm not objective about this, I'm going to get advice from a professional, and they said, do not do this.
And I never told him she said that either.
Let's take a look at this.
When we got back together, we decided to go for marriage and family counseling. So we went together and went separate as well. And the last time I went to see her, I asked her, you know, well, what do you think? You know, would you marry him? You know, if you were me, would you marry him? And she said, off the record, I wouldn't marry him. And I closed the door and never went back.
If you knew then what you know now, would you have married him?
No.
All right. Brian and others say that you neglect the family.
In certain ways, yes. You know, I've always been very independent very early on because of my family situation.
Well, let's hear what Brian has to say about it.
Deanna is a workaholic. She's a perfectionist in everything that she does. That's taken priority over everything else. Our intimacy level, it was non-existent. It was like ordering a pizza. You know, I mean, I'd have to ask for it. And even when we did, there was always a complaint. Breast stinks, you're pushing on my stomach. The romance was gone, the passion was gone.
Okay, now let's be specific about this. As you don't cook for the kids, you make them late for school, you're late picking them up, so they're standing around waiting for you to get there, that you work 75 hours a week.
Deanna's normal workday can range anywhere from 6 o'clock in the morning all the way till 4 in the morning. The kids would have to be to school at 8 o'clock. They're usually running late because she's still on the computer. There's times that she's late picking them up because she's still doing her business. I get home at 7 o'clock at night, tell the kids, hey, you know what, it's time to get ready for bed. Let's get your homework done, let's get the showers done fast. Dad, we haven't had dinner yet. She's still up doing her things.
My work is in my home, so I might work that many hours, like it might consume that much of my day, but I'm not working continuously that long. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing other things, doing laundry.
Look at the list. I mean, I'm just trying to determine if you're really vested in this thing, or are you not?
Yes, no, I am. And I haven't, the kids haven't been late for school this whole year and, you know, part of last year because it was an issue for my son. He always hated to be late to school. I mean, he hates it, so.
Okay, so you
I've
deny
made
that you've taken him to school late?
No, I have.
On a regular basis?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you did. So that's not a denial, that's an admission.
That's not a denial, I admit
And
that.
do you pick them up late?
Yes, I had in the past. They're in carpools, so.
Mm-hmm. Have you made Brian watch you date other men?
I made him watch me date 2 other guys for 8 months, and then I was kind of dating him and another guy at the same time. He hated it. It was after the first affair, and I was dating somebody. I was in a, not seriously dating, but dating all the time. And I just felt at that time that if he really, really, truly loved me and wanted to, marry me like he had promised, before he left the engagement, that I didn't purposely do it to, hurt him, but I just wanted to make sure that, it was real, that he really wanted to marry me. And if he did, then he would stick it out and be okay with it.
Do you now have an inappropriate relationship with a family friend?
No.
The family friend that we have used to live across the street from us. We sold the one condo we had and we bought another one. Well, he bought one right next door to us. He would come over to the house and fix the computer, but he'd only do that when I wasn't there. I've always felt that he has feelings for her. My wife is the beneficiary of his will. At Christmas time, he would buy the kids gifts, and he'd also buy something for my wife. And I'd usually get left out. One time in passing, I checked her emails, and she was conversing with him at 2, 3 in the morning. I think that she should probably be in bed with me. So it's always bothered me.
Does
I don't
this
think
family friend give you money?
Yes, he has.
$25,000 worth of money.
Oh, he's given us a lot of money. A lot more than $25,000.
Brian, how do you feel about that? Do you think this is an inappropriate relationship?
I do.
Do you think it's inappropriate for this man to be giving her money, lots of money?
He gave it to both of us.
That is correct. He's helped the family.
I understand.
He's helped the family, but it's gone a little bit, in my opinion, it's gone a little bit further. It's kind of crossed the line.
So you deny that there is anything inappropriate with this person?
There's nothing inappropriate. I feel like you can have a friend of the opposite sex and have them be a friend when they've been a friend since prior to our marriage anyway. So I don't know why.
You go to Vegas with him?
I have, yes. When we would go for like the day, we'd just fly for the day. It started out as a birthday tradition. We would fly to, actually it was Reno. We'd fly to Reno for the day. We'd gamble and then fly home. But Brian knew every single time, and it was just mostly every year on my birthday that we would go.
So on your birthday, you go with another man to some casino somewhere?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Listen, I'm just an old country Texas boy. Really, I'm not much about bright lights in big city, but I've been to a few county fairs.
Yeah.
I even saw some flocked wallpaper once. But it doesn't make sense to me that a man's wife loads up on her birthday and goes to some gambling junket with a friend.
That's what it was.
Who, by the way, also plies with money.
If you know there's nothing going on, then I don't find anything wrong with it.
Okay, now come on. Are you sitting there telling me that on its face that doesn't seem inappropriate?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's take a poll. If you think it's inappropriate for a woman to go on her birthday out of town with another man while she's married, stand up. Brian, I assume you're standing symbolically.
I am.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about where this goes, if anywhere.
I felt miserable. The pain that I saw in her, the hurt, and all the things that I've built with her, gone. It's like letting air out of a balloon.
One of the most common questions I get is, Dr. Phil, can a marriage survive infidelity? Should a marriage survive infidelity? And if so, how? And how do you minimize the damage to an entire family? Now, first off, do you want to stay married?
Yes.
I mean, even after what you've heard today, the things that we've talked about today, you've said, if I'd known then what I know now, I wouldn't have married this man. I've now heard him tell me things that I suspected that he is now confirming for me that violate my moral standards. Why do you want to be married?
I just have never wanted to not be a family. It's always been That's, I think, why I've put up with the things over the years and covered things up and pretended and made excuses. It's because I never not wanted to be married to him. I always did. Obviously, I've done what I've done. I mean, if I had a crystal ball that knew, that said he would never do this again, and yes, you can be a whole family, and yes, you can heal through this, then I think I could. But if it's looking like, look, he's done this repeatedly, it's a pattern, and this is what's going to happen, and this is how it's going to be.
Can she trust you?
Yes, she can.
I mean, now, come on. I want you to think about this before you answer. You know I am very hard on people that drink and drug. I am a huge fan of rehab, but I'm always leery of people that go become kind of these rehab products and then they're totally new people, because there's an 85% failure rate on people that drink and drug. And the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And that doesn't speak well here.
No.
You think you are a changed person.
In progress. In progress. I don't feel like, going into treatment, that I come out after the amount of time that I was there and, I'm just a new man, new blossomed man. It's every day's progress for me. I've been dealing with different things in different ways that I've never done before. And that's, am I a changed man? I have changed a lot. I have changed a lot. Am I perfect? No, I'm not perfect. There's still a lot of things that I have problems with, but I deal with them.
All right. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, I want to take a look at Brian's list and talk about the problems for Deanna when we get back.
Here's your father figure, and he's done this to your mom and your family. It's not the first time he has done it.
My mom lives in her own little world sometimes. I don't think that one person is at fault.
Well, we're talking to a family that says they are shaken to the core by the husband's affair. Not everybody agrees, by the way. Your daughters are kind of split on this thing, aren't
Yes, they are.
They have different attitudes about you and different attitudes about you. Deanna has two daughters, by the way, from her first marriage. They've grown up with Brian as their stepdad, and they've both been affected by what's been going on here, including this affair. Now, 22-year-old Brianna says she's afraid Brian will cheat again, and it's shaken her trust in all men.
I think that my mom should stay separated from my stepfather. It's not the first time he has done it, and I truly believe that people don't really change who they are. The fact that here's your father figure, and he's done this to your mom and your family, especially when he told me he would never do it again, and then here it is years down the road, and he's just repeated the same thing.
Well, older sister Stephanie says the problem doesn't lie with Brian at all. It lies with her mother.
My mom's work habit did affect my stepdad's infidelity. He told me that he was angry and resentful of my mom and how much she was working. He said that he always felt we were just like a group of individuals living in a house together, and we never really did family stuff. My mom lives in her own little world sometimes, and she tends to block certain things out. I definitely think that it takes two to tango. I don't think that one person is at fault.
So, Brianna, what do you want to see happen here?
I would like to say I'd like to see them stay together, but deep down I just don't feel that it's right, because it just seems to be a continuous pattern of the things that have gone over, like that have happened over the past couple years. And I just feel if they stay together, that's going to be exactly, we're going to be in the same exact spot in a year or 2 years, or...
Stephanie, you disagree. You think the problem is with your mother, not your stepfather.
I don't blame just my mom, and I don't blame just my dad. But I think that they both need to take ownership for what each of them has done.
So you like me asking the questions, so both of them have to be honest about their involvement in this?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think about the answers that I got from the two of them?
I have never really heard my mom acknowledge a lot of the things that she did when you were going through the list. So that was nice for her to hear her actually admit that she is a workaholic.
On top of the emotional price, Louise says Deanna has paid a hefty financial price too. We talked about this on the list. Let's hear what Mom has to say about this.
He was not a go-getter. Deanne had to be the breadwinner. It was Deanne that wanted him to start the business, and she said, you can do it. She managed somehow that they got the business, but they were left with one home. Then he had a gambling problem, and that wasn't healthy in the relationship.
Do you think she should file those divorce papers?
From what she has been going through with the affairs, and I've seen how it has affected her physically, mentally, I feel she should.
Well, this affects everybody. We've got stepchildren here because this is a blended family. We have 2 biological children between the 2 of these. And coming up, you're going to hear a disturbing note that was found in their 9-year-old son's bedroom. We'll be right back.
When I saw that list, I was shocked. I knew he had anger issues, but I would never expected to find something like that.
The affair has affected the whole entire family. For me, and the way I look at relationships and men.
I hold resentments now. I feel like I was forced to grow up too fast.
Just kind of torn things apart.
Well, we're talking to a family that feels shaken to the core by the husband's affair. Now, Deanna believes that her 9-year-old son, Everett, has been harshly affected by the breakdown of this marriage, which is certainly no surprise. The family found a to-do list in his bedroom that Everett wrote just a few days ago.
It was a to-do list that Everett had written. There were like 4 things on that list. The very first one was kill, this boy. The next one was like get this girl for a girlfriend. And then the next one was buy her something really nice like a diamond ring. And then the last thing on the list was have sex with her and go to bed. And he's 9.
Did you look at his list?
I did.
And number 1 on his list was kill his friend. And if he didn't get that done, he says day after, he says, if I didn't get him killed the first day, kill him today.
Yes.
Okay. He says, go out and buy this little girl something nice like a diamond ring. And you bought her a diamond ring, right?
I did.
Was it a peace offering? Why did you buy her a diamond ring?
No, it wasn't a peace offering at all.
That's what you felt like, right?
After I found out about the affair, yes. Why would you go out and buy me this $20,000 diamond ring when you're having an affair with somebody else? Why? I just couldn't understand that. When I would show it to people, they'd be, oh, that's a big guilt ring, like before I even knew of anything. So I was like, huh? No. Or boy, what did he do wrong? Like I'm flashing it around, everybody's like, what a gorgeous ring. And somebody, people would joke and say, oh, was that a guilt ring? And I'm thinking, no, not at all. And then I found out about the affair, and then, it's like in my face.
I notice you're not wearing it.
No.
You are amazingly passionless about this whole thing. Have you checked out?
No, I don't think so.
It's really, I've seen more passion out of people ordering lunch.
Really?
Really? I mean,
So I can see that.
I mean, you're just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
I just feel so damaged over all of this, and I'm not saying that I didn't have anything to do with it, but I don't feel that the things that have been done and things in the past in our marriage ever should have warranted an affair. But I still do have that fear, when I call his work and and he's not there, and or I call his cell phone and he doesn't pick up. It's like I get that sick feeling, like where is he and what's he doing? Even though he's telling me that, you know, that he's not talking to anybody, not doing that. It's just that.
Okay, but you understand the fact that you still have such raw wounds that you have to do that you're calling up there and checking, that should tell you right straight up you are not ready to be in a marriage with this man. The fact that you can't trust him, that you have these feelings that you have to call and check and interrogate and wonder and worry, that is not the basis for a healthy marriage.
Not at all.
And let me tell you, children would rather be from a broken home than live in one. And right now, they're living in the middle of all of this, and you're seeing the residuals with your son. You have no choice but to put those children's interest above your own and decide what's ready. Do you think that you're ready to, like, just move back together and resume your life as a family?
No, not at all.
Do you think you are?
No.
Because I'm going to tell you, it's not even a close call. It isn't even a close call. If you want to be married a year from now, you won't be living as a married couple a month from now. What's important in my view is that everything we talked about today, you now take as a to-do list. You have to resolve everything on that list, all of your feelings about everything on that list. This list becomes a to-do list that you've got to, Brian, you've got to make amends and deal with everything on your list to her satisfaction. You have to deal with everything on your list to his satisfaction. You have legitimate complaints about her. You had an illegitimate response to them, but your complaints are legitimate. If you're going to be a wife and a mother and live as a couple, you've got to change some things, and you've got to change some things, and that can't happen like that, and you cannot move back together. Your children do not deserve a revolving door daddy. Do you agree with that?
I agree 100%.
Do you agree with that?
I agree.
I'm not telling you to finish it up and get a divorce, but I'm telling you, if you want to stay together, prove it. Prove it by doing the work. Prove it by getting involved with some constructive things to get through this to-do list. We'll be right back. Deanna, how do you feel about what I'm saying to you?
I know we both need to make changes. And I'm willing to do it.
Brian, how do you feel about it?
I feel like it's a long road to haul. I mean, that I've got to, if anything's going to work, and it's, I want a family. I've always wanted a family.
But you haven't valued your family. You didn't treat them as the precious asset to you in your life that they are.
That is correct.
You've snubbed them, violated them, and dishonored them. And so that's what bothers you, and that's what has to change. All right, I've put some helpful information from my book, Relationship Rescue, on the website. So you can go there, click on today's show, then click on Regaining Trust. And I'm going to have some steps in there. There's just some very specific advice for getting past an affair if that's what you decide that you want to do. So I really appreciate all of y'all being here, and we're going to make some resources available to you, and we'll track this and see where it goes. Thanks for being here. So long.